Hi, I'm Bill Corcoran Jr. This is the On the Stacks podcast.
Oh yeah, whoa, look, they can never keep me down, I'm going, and if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.
Today's guest is Kurt Krasavage, a former global sales leader turned real estate investor and humanitarian. Kurt dealt with some extreme trauma at a young age. All within a few years, he watched his mother suffer from a massive stroke, lost multiple family members and friends in tragic deaths, and was crushed when he got fired from his job in corporate America. But losing his job was a blessing in disguise, as he saw it as an opportunity to follow his dreams. It allowed Kurt to restart his life and pursue his purpose of improving the community and helping people make a bigger impact on the world. In this episode, Kurt talks about overcoming adversity and opens up for the first time about his shortcomings and embarrassing failure that cost him his former career. Kurt also shares his experiences leading multiple mergers and acquisitions, building global teams, and setting and achieving goals. This episode would not be possible without the support of our sponsors, so please check them out in the show notes. I'm your host, Bill Corcoran Jr., and this is Kurt Krasavage on the Stacks.
This was life's punch in the face. Mike Tyson, one of my idols, he literally, he said, you always have a plan until you get punched in the face. This was a kick in the face, stomped me, took me completely out, man. And I look at it as, again, a positive. As much as I regret it and it's humiliating to admit all this, it was so impactful, and it showed me you need to leave the corporate world and make more impact. I take all this negative energy and I focus, and the more I help other people, it feeds off of me to think about the less bad shit that happened in my life. And I think about every opportunity I can take to help these people, and even my mom's situation, it's inspiration. Let's help other people that are going through this, that don't have a Kurt or don't have a son to help them or don't have a facility. Let's change the world. Let's make meaning behind all this shit. And I think there's always pain behind meaning, and anything that bad or good happens, it always comes back.
This episode is brought to you by Burn, the fitness company behind the Today Show approved Burn board. If I'm being honest, working out can be a real chore, especially as a new dad in desperate need of sleep and cardio. Burn is founded by NEPA native Jimmy T. Martin, and his Burn board offers a low-impact core and cardio experience unlike anything I've done before. They have hundreds of on-demand workouts that are great for beginners, seasoned athletes, and out-of-shape podcast hosts who love supporting small businesses. My wife and I use it pretty frequently throughout the week, and it's honestly a great way to burn a ton of calories without burning a ton of cash. Not to mention, it's a great tool for skiers, runners, wrestlers, and hockey players. Jimmy is offering all On the Stacks listeners 15% off when they use the code STACKS15. Visit theburn.com today to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15 at checkout. Again, that's theburn, THEBRRN.com to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15. It's time to get on board today with Burn. This episode is brought to you by Kavanaugh's Grill, one of my favorite places to eat and drink in NEPA. They've got one of the best outdoor patios with 13 TVs and over 20 beers on tap. You can also dine inside at this cozy Irish-style pub where your beer never goes empty. Did I mention how delicious their food is? Their in-house smoked brisket, barbecue ribs, and wings are to die for. So grab your friends and have a drink on me at Kavanaugh's. Mention code STACKS for one free draft beer with purchase of any entree when you dine in. Located at 163 North Main Street in Mountaintop, Kavanaugh's is open at 4 p.m. during the week and 12 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday during football season. Dine in today at Mountaintop's only Irish-style pub.
Hey Northeast PA, Paul Perfect Storm here. Do you want your kitchen or bathroom to go from this to this? Well, Perfect Storm can do it.
Need a kitchen or bath remodel and don't know who the experts are? Perfect Storm Renovations. Expert designers and installers who can help you achieve the kitchen or bathroom of your dreams. Schedule your free in-home design today. Perfect Storm Renovations. High-end quality anyone can afford.
What's up, podcast? It's Bill Corcoran Jr. here in the Blue Door Studio, protected by our friends at Ritchie Security Solutions. Kurt Krasavage, welcome to the On the Stacks podcast.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you're smart, hungry, humble, and resilient.
Absolutely, man.
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Thanks for having me. Get your seatbelt on. Buckle up. It's time.
This is going to be a deep one. A good one.
Hopefully.
Yeah. A sweet one, like the cherries on your hat. Who knows? I don't know. But, I got to tell you something funny. Up until I think it was, when was it? Maybe yesterday. up until yesterday, I had you in my phone. I mean, I was telling you this beforehand. I didn't tell you the story. This is the story. Remember, I told you I'm going to wait to tell you this? I had you in my phone as Kurt Krasavage.
That's amazing.
Have you gotten that one before?
I've gotten Kurt Krasavage. Mostly it's Kurt Krasavage because I say my name and it's like, hi, this is Kurt Krasavage. So people think it's Kurt Krasavage. So it's like, hi, Kirker. I'm like, at this point, it doesn't matter. And a lot of people call me Kevin for some reason. I don't know where this comes from, but Kevin. So,
Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just Savage. I got Savage in my name, man. That's how I go after it. So
yeah. I think it's fitting, but it might also stem from Jimmy T. Martin. By the way, shout out to Jimmy for connecting us.
Shout out to Jimmy.
Yes.
Absolutely. Great guy.
But I think part of the reason why I had you on my phone as Savage, somehow, I guess maybe when Jimmy was telling me about you, again, for everybody watching, listening, Kurt and I have never met in person. We've only spoken, for a few minutes on the phone, just, the last couple weeks. And he sent a 12-page manuscript of his life to me. But other than that, we don't know each other, right? So at some point when Jimmy was telling me about you, he might have said the word savage or just just I don't know, something, but in like a good context, just talking about how much of a cool dude you are, how much of a hard worker, or the things you've been through. He's just he's like real savage dude, or
paid him well,
something,
paid him well.
or maybe right, you did, yeah, that probably cost a lot, right?
It was the cheapest investment this week, so it was okay.
Okay, all right, yeah. So or maybe at some point he was talking about a podcast idea, maybe because your last name and Savage, it's somehow, but. Again, I don't know what it was, but it just stuck in my head. So, actually, I think it's still in my phone. I didn't change it.
That's amazing.
It's still just Kurt Krasavage in my phone.
You can go with that.
Yeah, and when you sent me some of the notes of hey, here's some possible topics and things for the show, obviously it had your name in it. And
literally nobody is going to call me my full name now. It's Kurt Krasavage. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you are forever. This whole episode, I'm actually not even going to put your real name. I'm just putting Kurt Krasavage.
That's fine.
Yeah, Randy Savage's distant cousin.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kurt Krasavage, we're here. This is it, man. This is your first podcast. First podcast. I'm glad to be the first one here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Got your cherry.
Look at that. That's it. Right there.
I said I wasn't going to talk about the cherries, but hey,
I know.
Here they come.
I know. Yeah, we'll keep people in suspense maybe a little bit more about the cherries, but thank you for the
Shimmer bottle.
Yeah.
Funny story about that. That came from One Hope Winery. I have no affiliation with them. I have a friend that works there. Each bottle, they give back 10%. So I'm all about giving back to the community and helping people out. And that was a big part. This actually goes to a friend's nonprofit charity. So you're doing a good thing by drinking that bottle, and it's a good thing for everybody.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good. So I don't know when we're gonna pop that. I mean, were we supposed to drink that today?
No. It's up to you.
We're gonna say
if you want to drink it, we can.
I don't know. But I think we might save it.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, because I think there's probably some more things to come, and down the road with us at some point, and there'll be a right time for it. Not that this isn't the right time.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna be. You got me in suspense with all the questions, and
right.
I don't think I'm gonna have time to put that. Water, man.
Yeah. Right. No, yeah. Just gotta take it easy here. It's the first podcast. We got the water. We're all set. Me and you are down in a bunch of water before we start. We're dehydrated goofs.
It's all good, man.
No, but man, you thank you for sending me a lot of the when I joked and said about the manuscript. I mean, you did. I mean, you basically
sent me 6,000 words.
Yeah. So I mean, we now have the biography to your life. So I mean, the book of your life now is already partially written. So
yep.
You're good to take that to a publisher now, basically. But no, I appreciate that because it gave me a lot of context. Again, we didn't really know each other other than just through a friend and a little bit from what I heard.
Yep.
And put a lot of things in perspective, and it was great to just be able to learn about you and all those things. I mean, because you really gave me a lot, and you were really open about a lot of stuff. You've done some really, really cool things. You're still doing really cool things, but dude, man, your life has been like a roller coaster of all good things, obviously some bad and some tragedy, trauma, and just a lot of stuff, man. And where do we start?
You got to tell me on this one.
Oh my gosh.
I'm all over. So absolutely.
Yeah. Well, okay. So by the way, we're both Penn Staters.
Yeah, man.
So yeah. Hell yeah, we
are. We are Penn State.
That's right, baby. Yeah,
love
I love that. I love having other Penn Staters on. I feel like this whole week, and I've said this to other Penn Staters, and people probably get annoyed when I say this, but only you and only Penn Staters can kind of relate on this level. But I feel like this whole show, if we wanted to be, it could just be a whole show about us talking about Penn State, which then nobody would listen besides me and our two college buddies, right, and my mom. but no, I love having another Penn Stater on, just because like, again, there's that bonds that I think us as Penn Staters we have, and it's like no matter where you are in the world or what your background is or where you came from, it doesn't even matter. It's just once you find out that like, you went to Penn State, I went to Penn State. It's like you just become there's just that connection like instantly.
It's a family, man. It's like, and it wasn't always cool to be Penn State. When we went through the dark time, everybody knows the dark period of Penn State. I remember going out to work, I'd have like a mouse pad and I'd bring it into a company. I was almost like self-conscious about it because I'd have people making comments like I was Penn State. I was Jerry Sandusky. And like it gave me, I'm like, look,
it's like
man,
awkward.
It's still a good school, and like how big we are, it still feels like a small family. I think that's what's special about what Penn State does. Yeah.
But like you said, it is, like there was times during those years too where it's like I almost felt like awkward too because like people are like looking at you like if they see you wearing like a Penn State shirt, they look at you like as if it's your fault. Yeah. Or as if you're you're part of that. And it's like, no.
Just a fan, man.
Just
a fan.
Yeah.
Love the school, love the football team. It's amazing.
Just had a lot of fun, I'm sure you had a lot of fun.
I didn't have as much fun probably as you, Bill. I was an engineer.
Are you sure?
So what did you
I definitely had way more fun. I was a communications major, man.
That's exactly right. I regret that. So my college years were engineering, man. So it's I lived in the Sackett and Hammond building, and I was a nerd for 4 years down in University Park. I did have my fun, but it was after college. I lived in Miami, man, in my 20s. Like I had a beautiful life.
So you probably had a lot more fun there.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Yeah. So okay, so I guess we'll start there. Like why architecture?
Why architecture? So my entire life, it all started really from when I was a little kid. I still remember having this little plastic stencil my mom used to give me. I don't know where it started, but I started like I would draw the house and like start restructuring and try to like redesign it. So that was like ever since I was little. I was gonna bring the stencil on today. I'll post it one of these days. And
send me that.
I still have the stencil.
All right, well, take a photo of it.
I will
take a photo. We'll put it up on the screen during the show. Okay,
cool.
Right? Yeah.
I'll bring this. I'll give you the stencil, and like that's where it started. And then, as far as architecture, I've just been always fascinated by buildings, big buildings, small buildings, complex architecture. Just it always had a draw to me, and I got into like the architecture and architectural engineering really because I was fascinated by roller coasters. So there's no degree for like if you want to go design roller coasters, my mom got me a love for roller coasters.
Do you like riding them or just designing them or both?
I loved riding them, and I was fascinated by the structural aspects of them, so I wanted to design them. So I was like actually at one point trying to get a job at Cedar Point, and I also called down in Disney. And then what I found is like I started to put in my realization that, oh shit, there's only like 4 companies in the world that actually design these roller coasters. There might be less now. And I had a couple conversations about like I always wanted to push the boundaries of wooden roller coasters, and the people that do wooden coasters.
Sounds dangerous.
It could be. It could be. They're doing a lot of things. The people that design the wood coasters, they love the wood coasters. They don't want to do loops and crazy shit with like wooden like coasters, right? They're traditional, and that's where it is. They didn't love my pushing the boundary type of thing, and I don't think it would have worked out.
Wouldn't have worked with the wood.
So that it wouldn't have worked, right? Yeah. So I mean, you could probably make it. They're doing some cool stuff down in Hershey. Shout out to them. I love that park. So overall, man, that's how I got into getting a structural engineering degree, was because I was like, well, I could be a structural engineer. This sounds cool, and I love architecture. So maybe I do the best. I get to design and be an engineer, and that actually wasn't true. So I spent 5 years of college thinking I was going to finally put it all together, and really what I became was a structural engineer for buildings, high-rise, big buildings. And
very similar to roller coasters.
Very, very different. Yeah, the physics part, like I was good at math. There's a difference between physics and math. Like rocket scientists, those type of people, like my roommate was that. And they like when things are in motion and they're dynamic, then that's a different world than a building that sits there outside of earthquakes.
It is, crazy. So, I know, when you said you probably didn't have as much fun as I did at Penn State because you're an engineer. I totally get it. My cousin, who we're same age, he was an aerospace engineer.
Oh man.
So we were there at the same time, and we're best friends. We've been best friends like forever. Shout out to Dave Gernhardt if you're listening.
Shout out.
But he, so I, every time I'm like, dude, you want to hang out? He's like, dude, like, I got homework to do, and I'm like, and he's like, dude, do you do anything? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. I just had a little more time, I guess. But no, so I totally get it when you said like, you lived, in that building, like, and all the work that went into it, like.
And then I used I still use a little bit, but for all that work, it's my career. Like when you go to college, I'm the first person in my family to ever go to like college, and like my family's grew up in the trades. A lot of people know my family for plumbing and things of that nature. Nobody really was like white collar and went to college. So my dad dropped out of school in 8th grade. My mom was never able to finish. So it was all new. Nobody got like to guide me. And it's like, you go to school to I'm paying all this money for you to go to school. You're a structural engineer now. Like, that's not what you want to do. Like, that's what you do. And I think that, like, I was always, and it gave me a lot of anxiety because I always thought, like, you're going to school for a specific thing. That's what you do. And it's not that at all. Like, Penn State rewired my brain. Like,
Yeah, talk about that for a minute.
What's that?
Yeah, about how Penn State rewired your brain. Like, what did you experience? Like, what did you get from that?
Everything. So in multiple ways, actually, some good and bad. So as an engineer, they break you down. It's almost like the military for your brain. They open you up and teach you how to think outside the box. So like, it helps me incredibly. Like, when I see challenges and puzzles and stuff, I think my brain's wired differently now. It took 4 or 5 years to break it down. I can't explain what they do in the process, but I see things differently, and I'm always looking to solve challenges, and I love puzzles. Like, that's what I love about flipping homes. That's like really helped me in my life. It also, because I was an engineer, the way they teach it, it's really like, it's like boring, man. Like, they get up, the professors they were structural engineers. They're not teachers, most of them. So they get up on a board and just sit there and write calculations and like write on a board for like an hour, and you walk out, you have 15 pages of notes.
You're like, what the hell is this?
It's awful. It actually made me socially awkward. Not that, like, I'm probably not, sorry guys, this is what you get. Blame this on engineering, not Penn State. It's me. But no, I had to like rebuild, like leaving that. And like, I ended up going into sales, not to like take a segue, but I had to like retrain my body to be social again, because I had like anxiety, and I was so used to being in engineering groups where you're just like kind of like talking by yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
and you're just like in the book.
That's it.
Right?
You're in a
like
book, you're doing calculations, and it was really different. So I went from like being super personable, went through engineering, got really smart, opened my brain up. And then, I kind of went the opposite way, and then I had to like retrain myself to be a little more social again and get my skills back. And it took a long time to do that, actually.
Yeah. So, all right. So right out of college, like you have this degree, right? You're hoping I'm going to make a ton of money with this degree, right? Mm-hmm. What did you do?
So prior to graduating, right? So I did an internship and I worked down in Miami.
Oh yeah, the internship.
Did the internship down in Miami. And the only reason for that, there was multiple reasons. I wanted to live in Miami. Who doesn't? Amazing place. My buddy Matt, who's my best friend, moved down there in 8th grade. And we still have an incredible connection as friends from 8th grade until now. And we've lived 1,300 miles apart for so long. And that was like long distance phone calls, whatever. So he hit me up and he's like, hey, Kurt, move down to Fort Lauderdale, live with me. And I'm like, well, that looks kind of far from Miami. He's like, nah, man, it's all right. I'll take you like 30 minutes. Yeah, it wasn't 30 minutes. 30 minutes if you're doing 120 miles an hour in the middle of the night. Yeah. It took me an hour and a half each way every morning to go from Fort Lauderdale to Miami.
Sounds
coming home. Yeah. Oh God, it was absolutely miserable. Like miserable. And sorry, this is where it is. If anybody's listening from that company, like I would be showing up. Like there's days like it just took so long and I was late. Like the one day, Matt still talks about this. Like I was dressed in white. I walked in the office. They're like, why are you late? I'm like, oh, there was a girl on the highway. She, her tire was flat. I was helping her. I had to like help her out. And they're like, you got a white dress down shirt. And it's like, I'm sorry, man. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, my buddy's like, that's the worst excuse ever. And it was just because I had to drive so far and like, I dreaded it, and that's when I knew I didn't love, like, I have so much respect for engineers. I think they're undervalued in every single way. And it just wasn't for me. You know what I mean?
So this internship made you say like, I don't want to be an engineer.
Yeah. So I did it. And I think that's part of the internship experience. Like I looked at it, my whole life, I believe in getting paid for, I don't want to step in a line and wait 30 years to get paid. If I'm bringing you value, I want to get paid for that, right?
Yeah, engineering. We need to like normalize that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what your value is, not that you sat in this company for 20 years.
Yeah, and now you have value, and now you can charge more or make more. Yeah.
My issue was every day I'm driving into work, right? I'm going into Miami. There's baller cars all over the place, and I get to the engineering building. So one, I have to pay $100 out of my pocket. I was getting paid like $10 an hour for this internship, living in South Florida, which at the time was not that bad actually. I was fortunate to have a paid internship, and I would be driving through the bottom floors, and it's Lamborghinis, Ferraris, everything. Then you got to the engineering floor, and the cars were not those things. And it's not the superficial world. It was, I can never obtain this if I stay in this job. And there's people here that have been doing this 30 years, and they're probably like, some of them are just genius. Like they're absolute genius. And I'm not saying like I'm not at that level. I was far from that level. And I'm like, I don't know if I could get to that level or want to be at that level. And it was that point where I'm like, I need to do something else with my life.
Yeah. Wild, man.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. So what did you do? Like, you decided you figured this out while you did this internship. Yep. Internship ends, and then
I go home. So I was in Florida, and I was going down there for the summers. I came back to Pennsylvania, talked to my mom, talked to my dad, and at that point I said, look, I would rather not have a job than go back to doing what I was doing. And it was no disrespect to the company whatsoever. Like it was me and just kind of where I was. So I said, what the hell do I do? I looked and thought back. There was a guy that came to my school, and this is where networking is super, super important. A guy came to my school, and it was like 2 years ago. We got an extra point, and you got like free pizza if you like showed up to this meeting. And he's like, hey, I can get people untraditional jobs. I can find you jobs that you really love. And like, I blew it off. I took a chance. I save every business card I ever get from anybody. And one day I'm going through them and I pick it up and I'm like, I'm going to call the guy. I called this guy, and a week later he had me on an interview in Chicago, and he had me in Nashville, Tennessee. The one in Chicago was a great opportunity, but it was like an understudy for like a structural engineering gig. The other was a sales engineering gig, or sorry, like selling software. It was my first sales job. And it was like, what do you think about software? Love it. I thought software and technology, and still do, is like amazing. So he's like, well, you want to try that out? I said, absolutely. And like, it was the weirdest interview, because typical engineering, like when you go to an engineering interview, they sit there, and not all of them are the same, but it's like, they literally, like, you go through school and it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a professional engineering exam. I know you can't do this yet, but I want to see how your brain thinks. And you go like sit in a room, and then they like ask you to fill out questions and like analyze your brain.
So this is like when you go like in Men in Black, where Will Smith goes in to take that test.
Exactly, right? That's what it is.
That was you.
Yeah. You're sitting there, and it's like, I don't know what the hell I'm like, all right, like you hit my brain. And then it's like, I remember the one question from a different interview, and it was like, if you were dropped in a well and you had like a paper clip, a string, and a magnet, how would you get out?
Get the hell out of here.
I swear to God.
That was a question.
Because they want to see your brain and how you think. I don't remember the answer. I have no idea. It's I really don't know. It actually, well, I didn't get the job, right? So
okay, yeah. So whatever it wasn't the right answer.
I didn't get the job, so it was like that, and like these weird questions, man. And it's like, I get why they do it now, and they want to see the psychology of how you think and stuff. When you go to a sales interview, it's not like that in that sense. And I did a lot of hiring, with people, and I didn't really care about skills. You could teach skills. It's about the mentality, but they went about it it was a little too structured for me in the engineering world. And I got turned down, man, for like a couple jobs, because they're like, well, I was a dumb kid. I had my ears pierced, and I'm like, well, screw these people. If they don't like my ears pierced and how I look, because that was a thing back then. Like, I know people watching now, that's probably like foreign. Like,
right.
It's like, I literally, like, they would tell you to take your earrings out and stuff like that. That wasn't acceptable in an engineering space.
Yeah, we're in a corporate world.
It wasn't for like, so I would like go in, they took the earrings out, and they'd be sitting there talking to me, and they'd be like, look, like, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? So I didn't do a good job selling then. I'd be like, I'm going to own my own company. I'm going to own my own company and continue to climb. And they send me a letter and
they're like,
sorry.
Denied.
Literally,
Denied.
Kurt,
yeah.
We appreciate your entrepreneurial spirit, but unfortunately, it's not going to fit with our program. And it's like, why did I like?
Yeah, because they want the worker.
They want the worker, and they want you to work there, and that's fair. I get it. Like, but there should be a place. There should have been a place for me, right? Like, people like that. You want them to come work for your business. Maybe they can open another office.
You need that. You still need that.
It's too short-sighted. It's too short-sighted. Engineers are great. I mean, I've sold to them and I've worked with them for so long. They're incredibly smart people. When it comes to business and return on investment, sometimes they have challenges, and that's no disrespect to engineering. Again, I value it so much. It's just an observation that I've seen.
Yeah. So you went from like this social, you said earlier, you were social, and then you went to Penn State engineering, right? You then became a little bit not social, right? You lost a little bit of that, and then you kind of had to rewire your brain to kind of learn that again.
Yep.
But I want to like ask you about like, so when you told your parents, like you came home and said, hey, Mom, Dad, like, I don't think this engineering thing is for me.
Yep.
How did that go over?
My dad stopped talking to me. So my dad, like at that point, my mom's always been supportive my whole life. My dad, he was the one footing the bill. So he's like, what are you, nuts? Like, I think I was offered $60,000 job, and like, I probably shouldn't talk money, but at that time, that's what, like, it was like, that's a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. And it's like, I should take this job. I have nothing backing up. And it's like, take the job, work hard. One day you get benefits and you could retire. Like, that's been the mentality. It wasn't for me. And me and my dad just didn't see eye to eye on this. And I just went against it. I knew what I wanted to do and what I believed. And I also took a huge risk with this, because I had no engineering experience. So if I jumped out and did sales for like a year or two, why wouldn't they just hire someone out of school versus somebody that left for 2 years? So it was kind of like, all right, this is it. I'm all in. And I knew in my mind that like I was going to succeed in kind of that sales and technology role. Yeah. So that's kind of how it went down. I mean, we rekindled at that point. It took, I don't know if it was like, at this point, I can't even remember. It was like months or years, but there was kind of that disconnect there where I didn't have, and I'm sure there's people on here that like your parents don't 100% support your decisions. And it was out of love. It was like, this kid's crazy. I had teachers and professors come up to me and they're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why would you go and do sales after you spent 5 years learning how to be an engineer? And it's like a prestigious career. Like, and it is. And it just, it wasn't for me. I wanted to take a risk, and I wanted to be paid for what it was. And I was really, really driven by money, because I've seen my parents struggle, and I never wanted to, that was my biggest fear, is like I get older and I'm struggling and pinching pennies and like I can't live. I do not, like, I have a lot of problems in my life. I do not want financial problems later in my life. Like that's like my biggest thing. Financial freedom has always been my goal and will continue to be my goal.
Yeah. So when you said like, everyone like, professors, everybody, teachers, they were all like, dude, what the heck are you doing? Like, was there anyone like, besides you said your mom, like, was there anyone like that actually supported you and was like, hey, I think this is cool. I think this is great what you're doing. Like, why don't you try this? Was there anyone like that actually tried to like guide you into doing something else?
I mean, the people that I talked to that hired me, they took a chance on me. I'll never forget that. My mom, my grandmother, my friend, a few friends, obviously did that. I hope I don't forget anybody, but like coming to mind, I mean, there's a lot of, that was enough, right? Like my mom's always been behind me. And
because typically in a situation like this, it's everyone is always like, people will tend to be less supportive,
right?
Because they have the mentality of, oh my God, you're giving up all of that.
Yep.
You're giving up all that to do what? For hopes and dreams, potentially,
and answers,
right?
Yes. Always. Yeah. I'll bet on myself every day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So you did that. You did have some support, right? And then what was the sales job?
So at that time, because of my background, I couldn't do this job. It was like everyone thought like I was just throwing everything away. This job was to sell structural engineering software to structural engineers. So the guy that I work for revolutionized the structural engineering world. Prior to him, he's close to a CEO of a very large company right now. This gentleman, he's unbelievably brilliant. He created a software with his partners that automated calculations. So like if you were doing a steel building, they used to have to do like each beam and column and do all the calcs and do the load takedowns and calculate all these things manually.
That's insane.
He commercialized like to build a 3D model. You build the structure quick, you put in your variables and things, you hit a button and it actually comes up and designs these. So people were getting speed, effectiveness. You spent more time designing versus doing repetitious calculations. And he was like one of the founders. He's been awarded for this. And this is the main guy that brought me on. And that's one of the things I was selling that product. And then I was selling a bunch of other products that helped structural engineers improve safety as well as improve safety, risk, and speed and productivity.
So he was a dude that kind of like took a chance on you?
He did. Yeah.
How so? Why? Because
smart, hungry, humble, and resilient. I think he knew that at the time. I think that was a big part of it, and he just saw my hunger. I think the hunger stuck out to him, because I told him when I went to the interview, they told me like, so in a lot of sales jobs you have like in some it's all commission. My job was salary and commission, and I believe it was 60% guaranteed, 40% commission. And I said, I want to make more money. Let's flip it. What if I take more risk and do 40% guaranteed and 60? He's like, you sure you want to do that? I want to do that. And what happened? I made more money than every single person that year. I doubled, like when I was coming out of school as an engineer, the job alone, I was going to be making more than anybody in my class. And then I went out and crushed it that year. And I doubled and made more than everybody on my team because I took that bet. It caught up with me. I learned corporate America. What happens? You win one year, it's a roller coaster, man. And it's just how it goes. We could talk for hours about that.
Yeah.
But that was he took a chance on me. He saw kind of the person I was, and I forever am grateful for learning the skills. And it was also, it was him and another manager that I had at that job that really changed my life.
Yeah. So all right. So what were those roller coasters like? You said you started making a lot of money, and then corporate America comes in and rips the rug out from under you, right?
Corporate America. Yeah. So again, corporate America is a beautiful thing. It's always been a vehicle. And so one year, you hit it high, the expectation's there. The next year, it's not, oh, wow, Kurt, you had a great year. The expectation is you had a great year. Let's add 20%.
Roller coaster goes higher.
20% every year. Keep adding 20%, 30%, 20%. So if you come out of the gate killing it, just be careful. That's the thing. And it's like, there's a lot of like managers saying like, oh, hold on, don't say that. But it's the truth is if you're in it for the long game, the unfortunate truth about the corporate world is to make money, you need to either, maintain it long term, or you need to jump jobs or jump divisions to make that money and continue to build your salary.
They always just cap you, or they just change it on you. They change the comp plan.
Exactly.
Right. And
it keeps going up, and you make and it's all, you get better at the job, you're getting more referrals. So it's all relative. It is. And a lot of these companies, some are unfair. I've worked for unfair companies. I've worked for companies that are very fair and more than generous. So it kind of goes both ways. It just depends.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So all while this is happening, you worked for, some big businesses, some small businesses, some startups. You've told me that you've had a lot of tragedy in your life during all this, and you were on this roller coaster ride, man. You've been on this roller coaster ride for a little while now.
Still am. Yeah, still that's why I buckle up, man.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
yeah.
all good. It keeps going.
Hope everybody's still buckled up for this part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell me a little bit about so we'll say like some of the personal challenges that you've faced while you're just starting your career off as a young dude.
Yeah. I guess, you know, outside of like my parents or whatever, you know, my dad not supporting me or whatever at that point in time, you know, we got past that. 2014 hits, right? So my Aunt Annie got diagnosed with leukemia, was going through that, and unfortunately, you know, she passed away. So we had an event. We went to Candy's Walk, amazing organization, and that was with my mom. A week later, my mom has a stroke. So my mom, she was out in the yard. She was perfectly healthy, never had a health problem. Her arm went numb. We took her to the hospital. And you know, they told her that she had a pinched nerve and sent her home. And unfortunately, the next day she had a stroke that took away, you know, most of her life. She couldn't talk, walk, read, write. There was nothing, you know, and nobody could tell you what's going to happen. Like, she didn't know who I am. I'm her only child, and I'm sitting there in a room, and they're like, "Who is this?" She didn't even know who I was, and I didn't get to see my mom. Like, watching someone go through that and not be able to speak and talk, like, horrible. It's horrifying. So anything I get in my life, it's like, it's not that bad. Like, I know Jimmy Martin has said this, and he's like, you know, like, when he was going through his tragedy, it's like nothing matters anymore. And it's like, that's the truth. Like, you see this shit and it's like, I was there with my mom, and that was just the beginning. That wasn't even like the worst part of it. Right. So like, going through that was incredibly insightful learning. I feel like I got a PhD in medical stuff right now. And I've just gone through this. That's why I could talk about this. Like, it took a long time to get to that level, you know, Bill. So that was a part of it, you know? And then I'm trying to think, like, there was just so much, right? So my mom has this stroke.
Yeah. So what did you do? Like, so where were you at this point in the world?
I was back thankfully. So this is like,
so you happen to be home.
So this is good question. So like the world, I was down in Florida for a while doing a job. Like, when you asked me about the sales job, I was in Pennsylvania, and then I came because I was doing internships down in Florida, and I went back to PA. They gave me the sales job. I went back to Florida. They had an office that just serendipitously, like, it was right there.
Yeah.
And I ended up, like, things went bad at that company after we did a couple acquisitions. I came back to Pennsylvania, and it was like, at that time, I'm like, man, and I still miss Florida. Like, November to like March, I would love to have another house and live down there. And it was just like, wow, I'm up here. So I'm back in Pennsylvania when this all happens, and I'm thankful that I did, because I was able to support my mom.
You were able to be there with your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're home, your mom has this stroke.
Yep.
She has to go through all this, physical therapy to learn how to read, write, walk, talk, like all that again.
Yes.
And like, who helped her with all that?
She had incredible therapists at John Hines, right? So she had therapy Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and it was really challenging. So I'm trying to maintain a job, and I was stuck in a job that I didn't really love, you know, at the time, due to the acquisitions and things that were happening, but I didn't have a choice. Financially, my dad, like, kind of, you know, walked out, right? So like, this all went down. It created a lot of trouble for our entire family. So my dad ended up, like, kind of walking out, right, on us, and he has, you know, an independent life. And I'm not talking bad on my dad. I don't know what he went through. So it was me and my mom. So I have to cover her bills and also take care of her, and then I have to manage.
And you have no
job.
siblings.
I have no siblings,
right?
So I'm an only
it's just
child.
you.
Yes. So I'm taking care of my mom. So like, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I had to step out of the office. Thankfully, I had a job that gave me, like, the freedom. So I was working flexible hours, and my company was very generous, and they were very accommodating to an extent to help me through this. Right. So it was, you know, that's kind of what I did. And then outside of that, like, sometimes I had to use Uber. Thank God for technology, because I was able to once my mom got to a point and started to regain things, I felt comfortable enough. And Uber was still like, kind of like, oh, you know, is it safe to put it? I'm like, I put my mom in this and she had a stroke. Like, it's okay. Right. Like, and like, I would follow it and stuff like that. So I believe in the tech, and that helped a lot out with that. So and then me, I would spend with my mom probably, I don't know, I kind of put my life on hold, and I was dedicating, I don't know, maybe 6 hours a day with my mom multiple days, like times a week, because they tell you within the first 6 months, it's absolutely critical to get it back. And I wanted to do everything I could to have my mom regain a lot of what she could do. And she made a miraculous recovery. I don't think many people get to say, like, she taught me how to drive. I got to teach my mom how to drive. So she did get driving back, but she still can't use her arm and has a lot of internal memory loss and damage. But there's some really cool things that kind of came out of this. And
that is cool.
The craziest thing that happened to her, and I think it's like, you know, people listening to this might find this interesting. She had a stroke on her left side, which impacts the right side of the body. So she was a smoker, right? And previously in her life, I don't know if that caused the stroke or whatever. That would be like they can't tell you. It was a piece of plaque folded, and they had to do an emergency surgery. So when she woke up, like, I was telling them, put patches on her arm so she doesn't go through withdrawal or anything. She ripped the patches off. She's like, what the hell are you guys doing to me? She didn't remember she smoked. Still to this day, she's never had a cigarette ever again in her life, and she's never smoked, and she doesn't remember being a smoker. It's absolutely unbelievable. So If you can figure out what part of the brain that is, it's on the left side of the brain, it literally cured. Like, so if any silver, I look at the silver linings. I believe that my mom's life has been impacted, but she probably gained 20 years on her life, and her aging. Every time I go out with her, people are like, Is this your husband? To me. So she gets a compliment everywhere we go, and I get crushed because
you look like the old guy.
I look like the old guy, and I'm like, look at her. She blame her. She's getting younger looking. She's like the Age of Adeline or whatever that movie
anti-aging
is.
over
it's
here.
Crazy. It's crazy. And she's been doing a great job, man. And that's, that's my number one job, right? I got a lot of jobs that we'll talk about. My number one job is taking care of my mom.
Yeah. What did that do to you personally? Like at that time, man, like when you said like you were in the room and you sat there and she didn't even know who you were, like mentally, like what did that do?
Killed me. It was so bad, man. Just watching that and watching someone go through that, and you have no way to help them, and you don't know what it's going to be like. And I had nobody at this time. I didn't know anybody with a stroke. I didn't even know what a stroke was at the time. Like you hear talk, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a stroke if I keep doing didn't know anything about it. And it crushed me mentally, and over time I got used to it. I accepted it. The only thing that like helped me out. Sorry, I'm gonna take a drink.
Go ahead. This water drink is sponsored by
who do we have? Pure Life.
Pure Life.
Pure Life. So the only thing that got me through all this and is taking small steps. Every day I looked at every day and I said, is today better than yesterday? And I looked at it and like my mom would say one word different. Like yesterday, like maybe she couldn't say, she was calling scissors fish or something. Like that's literally how crazy this was. She'd be like, hand me the fish. Like she had aphasia or fractia. I can't remember all. She had both, but she would say these things. And it's like the next day she would remember that. And I'm like, that's a win. And all I had to do was take a little win. That's mentally what got me through this entire period of my life, is watching little baby steps. And I look at that every day. It's like, is today better than yesterday? Is this better than what we were doing? And that's how I live, man. That's what gets me through like dark times. It's like, oh my God, everything's failing. I'm like, today is tomorrow. Like this day sucks. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day. And that's what I do.
Yeah, man, that really gave you some perspective, man.
Unbelievable. And that was just the beginning, Bill. This is the beginning of like the tragedy happening, right? It's like at this same time, my mom has all these problems, right? I think everything's going smooth. She had a stroke. We're kind of moving past that. So now we're in like December of 2015, a year later. Now they tell you like after the first year, like we're okay. I get a phone call from my grandmother. My mom, she's like, come up here. Your mom's not doing good. I go up there. She's on the floor convulsing. So I'm thinking she's having another stroke and like something's happened. I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know what's happening. Here, they couldn't stop the seizures. Her seizure was 30 minutes. Like typical seizures are like 2 minutes, maybe. Like that's like excessive.
This is extreme.
Very extreme. So 30 minutes, they had to like medically inject her to stop it. Completely knocked her out for like 8 hours. So I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with my mom. Did she have another stroke? Whatever. Well, what it turned out to be is that she had seizures. So my mom developed seizures as a residual effect of stroke, which isn't very common, I'm told. Like if you don't have them within the first year, it doesn't usually happen. In my mom's situation, it did. So she has all these seizures. She's stuck in a hospital. At the same time, I get a phone call from my friend's my friend. Hey, your buddy John, yeah, he's in the hospital. He's not doing good. I'm like, I just was with him 2 days ago. What's wrong? We don't know. He's not doing good. So then me and our close friends. Now this is my college roommate, one of my best friends at the time. Like we grew up together our whole lives. I'm just hanging with this guy. My mom's in a hospital now for seizures, and I'm like, what do we do? So we, as our group of friends, we had like 4 or 5 of us. We go to the hospital. We see our buddy there, completely unconscious. They got to like do end of the life treatment. We're like, what the hell just happened? He had some kind of genetic defect in his heart. He was in the shower. I don't know all the details, but he ended up just collapsing. They heard him fall in the shower, gone. And they revived him, but everything from the neck down was no longer, like everything from the neck down was perfect. Everything from his head up is like, he just didn't have that. So they had to make a choice because he wasn't gonna have a life, and he ends up passing away. Okay. Wow. So horrible, man. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I'm like dealing with my mom, dealing with this. That same week, I literally am on my way. It's like 10 in the morning or so. I'm on my way to go to his like funeral or viewing to say goodbye. My grandmother calls me crying, and she's now deceased. She ended up passing away a couple years ago. She's calling me crying. My uncle, she thinks, isn't breathing. So I can't even go to my friend's funeral to say goodbye to him. I go up to her house and I find my uncle, who passed away on the couch. So within 1 week, I dealt with my mom getting seizures. Then I dealt with my uncle passing away, and then one of my closest friends having just some kind of genetic freak heart attack and like taking it away. That wiped me out, man. So I was at a point, that was the first time in my life I actually had to step back, and I'm like, I can't work. Like I could always work. I've always worked my whole life. That was FMLA, and my company was very generous to me, and they, accommodated me, and I'm very thankful for that. That's like I say, I have mixed views on the corporate world. This was one of the perks and the beautiful things about the corporate world, and they took care of me. So, that was just that was a really tough time in my life, man. Going back to 2015, everybody asked me, 2015 was a shitty year, man. I don't ever want to go back to that chapter, but it's helped me so much in my life and helped. I've had multiple friends now. It's weird. I have like 4 other friends whose parents had medical issues and strokes, and I've been able to talk them through it because I didn't have anybody, and I kind of went through this of things that helped. And that was it was a tough time, man.
Wow. So when you took that step back in 2015 with the FMLA, like at that point, like what did you say to yourself, and like what was your plan? Like what were you gonna do?
I don't know. I was getting ready to give it up. I actually had like a couple conversations because like my bosses and stuff, they'd be like, well, Kurt, it's been like a little bit, we're past that point. What do you want to do? Like, how are you going to manage this job? If you're out on the road, I'm like, look, if you're asking me to make a decision between my mom or this job, that's going to be a very easy one for me. I'm going to go with my mom all day. Like, I don't care about work. And I didn't care at the time. I was like, I'll figure it out. The number one priority is kind of getting my mom back. Like, the other situations, I couldn't solve those, right? Like my friend and my uncle, they're already gone. Like just make the best of the situation, help my grandma out. Cause now it's not only taking care of my mom, I got to take care of my grandmother because my uncle was there. And so now I'm a full-time caretaker of my gram. And that was for a couple years, man. It got really bad to a point where like I was going up to her house 3 times a day. And I'd have to like, every time she wanted to get out of bed, I had to pick her up because she didn't feel comfortable going into like a nursing home, and neither did my mom. My mom's got all these challenges. So like I was taking care of like both of them. So that's primary caretaking for both people. And me, I don't look at myself as this is just one of those things where it's like, there's no option, because people will be like, oh, how'd you do that? Or I can never do that. You could do it. I don't know if I wanted to do it. I had to do it. And that's like, if I say anything like, look, I think I'm pretty good at a lot of things. I did everything I possibly could for my grandmother, and I will continue to do everything I can for my mom.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Yeah, man.
That's wild. So, okay. So how long were you off work, right? And then
maybe 6 weeks.
Okay.
Something like that.
And
maybe less. It was something
yeah.
like 4 to 6 weeks, something
yeah.
like that.
And then after that, like what was your plan going back to work? Like,
well, this was, so, I mean, I just went back to work. So thankfully it was a remote job, and I just continued, like my mom had to go. So the thing that happened with the seizures, it reset her. So she went back to like, she had the stroke, made all this progress, and then she had the seizure. It took her back to her baseline, and it took 6 months to get back to where she was.
So she had
to restart everything over. So she had all these skills, went back. She couldn't drive. She couldn't do anything for herself. So she had to start all over again. So we had to start it all over again. Everything from the beginning.
Wow.
Horrible. It's like watching a nightmare. I still think of these things, right? Like I'm traumatized over this shit, man. I see it. Like I still dream of my mom's foot curling and sit. Like I watched all this stuff happen, and it sucks, man. It's like, but you can't, like, what am I going to do? Sit here and be phased? I went on with my life and said, hey mom, and every day, still to this day, right now, I am worried about my mom because she can have a seizure at any point in time. She was on medicine after this seizure happened. She got on medicine. She had to try 6 of them because they didn't work for her. She finally found one that we thought was working. And again, she had another seizure that took her out, and it was like 7 or 8 months later. So you never know the dosage, because they can mix them, they can increase the dosages, and you just never know what's going to happen. It's just trial and error. And unfortunately, that's where we are with the science. And right now, I worry about my mom. She might have a seizure at home. And if she's by herself, which she is, she may not live, and I have to live with that every single day of my life. And it's you just can't think about all the bad shit that's going to happen. You live if that's the way it's meant to be. We've talked about this, and that's the way it's going to be. And I hope that doesn't happen. But that's something that, when I think about problems and I see all the stress and people are like, oh my God, this is crazy, it's risky. It's like, it's not that risky. Like you want to see risk? Like here's the risk. Like I'm at this podcast right now. My mom may not live. That's the truth. And it's like, that's just my reality now.
Yeah. Wow. How did you, or how do you mentally like deal with all this stuff? Like how are you able to cope?
Work. So a lot of people are addicted to drugs and alcohol. I'm addicted to work. When and also I have to like have blackout days. So I call them like, I watch the movie. So a blackout day is literally I wake up, I don't want to deal with the world, man. Like I still to this day, like there's probably a couple of weeks ago, I wake up and I start reflecting a little bit, and I just can't I'm like done. I just can't do anything. I probably should be talking to like more medical professionals for this thing, but this is what I do.
You can talk to me about it here.
Well, this makes for, I guess a good story, if you will, but I literally just sit there and I don't do anything all day. There's days I'll just sit there until like 10 o'clock at night. I can't get out of the bed, and I just stay in the dark, man. Next day, I'm good. Like it just takes me those days.
It's like a reset.
I need a reset day to get my mind collective. And then I also just keep myself busy. As you see, like I'm doing so many things. I take all this negative energy and I focus, and the more I help other people, it feeds off of me to think about the less bad shit that happened in my life. And I think about every opportunity I can take to help these people. And like even my mom's situation, it's inspiration. Let's help other people that are going through this, that don't have a Kurt or don't have a son to help them or don't have a facility. Let's change the world. Let's make meaning behind all this shit. And I think there's always pain behind meaning, and anything that bad or good happens, like it always comes back, and you're able to like make it a positive thing. There's always a silver lining. Like I'm saying, there's a silver lining. My mom had a stroke and nearly died and can't talk and still screwed up. The silver lining is that she's going to live 20 years longer, hopefully. She's building we're working on a beautiful center to help other people like her, and we're giving inspiration to other people. That's amazing, man. Like to me, it's hell, but you know, that's my path on the world.
Yeah. So sorry. So you take all this negative things that say have happened in your life,
Yep.
energy, whatever it is, and you turn it into a positive, and what you do is you take that positive energy and you put it into, we'll say, work, right? Into like a project.
Yes.
Right. And I think this is a good segue. You're working on a lot of really cool projects.
Couple things.
So you've taken a lot of that, right? And you've just put it into doing something good.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, so the projects, so I guess, you know, it's just taking a step back on it. Bill is like, okay, I've been in the corporate world for a long time, right? So do you want to go here?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, because I think before I get into the projects, I think it's important to like, okay, so I've been doing like all this corporate stuff. At the time of the corporate
you
life,
had a lot of roller coaster ride in the corporate world, man.
we're going up. So it's like, okay, we're in the corporate world. Things are good. I've worked for big companies, small companies. I've worked for foreign startups. I worked for German companies, Finnish companies. I managed, you know, multiple companies, you know, international teams. I've done a lot of different things. I've gone through like half a dozen acquisitions, and then my job was managing a whole bunch of acquisitions. So I don't know, like if we should go. Do you want to like go into the corporate stuff, or you want me to jump into like the new projects?
No,
It's
we're gonna keep people in anticipation of Project Cherry and everything else. So
Yeah.
let's
What do you wanna talk about?
Yeah, tell me more about the corporate world.
Okay.
You know, the acquisitions. I know you've had some really good points in
Yes.
the corporate world. You've had some really low points.
Yep.
Again, where the rug was pulled out from under you, and it seems like that's been a reoccurring theme for you
Yeah,
in the corporate world.
Some people step in shit, man, and it frustrates the hell out of me because like you see these people and they inherit a great region, don't do work, they're lazy, they kill it. The manager in front of them ends up fired or leaves or go to a different thing. They get an opportunity to go there and they just climb the ladder. And I've watched this throughout my career, and it just drives me nuts because I'm like, I've had to bite, scratch, and claw. And like, it's okay, man. That's why smart, hungry, humble, and resilient. This comes in. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's something I've always had to fight for, man. And I think it's made me stronger as a person to kind of go through this. So I started at a big company. And there's amazing benefits of working for large companies. And then we started doing acquisitions, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to work for a big company. I want to work for a small company. So then I went to work for a small company. And again, there's the culture of small companies. There's nothing like it. It's amazing. The startup vibe, like just being a small team. But guess what? Any good small company right now gets purchased. So you get acquired. So then I got acquired, and I went through a bunch of acquisition. I got acquired multiple times. So it was like the bigger fish eating the smaller fish multiple times. Going through acquisitions is somewhat painful sometimes, depending on where you are, because the cultures don't match. Like I managed a merger and acquisitions team. My job, like most recently, was managing. We did a $2 billion acquisition for 5 companies. And my job was to make sure that all 5, you can't just bring 5 companies in and say, okay, everybody work together. Like, It doesn't work like that. They're using different CRMs. They have different culture. They have different products, processes, different skills. And you have to like bring it in and have like an intermediate step before you start bringing this stuff in. So I know a lot about that. And the reason I was so good at my job is because I physically went through this shit, and I could relate to people that were like, look, I know you're scared. I know the big company sucks right now for you. It's like, you know, this is like scary. You went from making 20% commission. We're going to pay you 5% commission. Why? And I helped them realize this because nobody helped me realize it. And I was bitter about it. I gave them perspective on why this stuff happens. Nobody ever talked about the whys. So I was so big on the whys and just sharing my personal experience with all my team. So over time, I would do that, Bill. And it's like, I went to the smaller companies, got acquired by the bigger companies. And then finally I'm like, okay, well, let's go try a startup that's backed by a bigger company. And that was, you know, I didn't do my due diligence. So anyone that's like looking to start up, make sure you do your due diligence on the company. It could be a good opportunity. It's like, oh, you get these high paying jobs. Like, oh, we're
like going to work for a startup.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like you're getting tons of equity. here's your beautiful equity and here's your salary. Well, what good is it if the product sucks? Not saying that any of the products suck, but like, what good is it if you can't hit the quota and you're not going to make any money and you don't have the resources or funding to go towards it? So just make sure you do your due diligence. So I made a mistake and I went down that road. And then I finally got it. I'm like, all right, I'm done with these acquisitions. I'm going for the big players. So the last company I was at was like a predominant, player. And I'm like, there's no way I could get acquired in this. And I was told, no, we're not acquiring. We're actually buying more companies. So the company was predominantly media, entertainment, and then architectural and engineering. They wanted to invest in construction. So they got into construction technology. So what they did at the time was they bought 4 or 5 different companies. They already had a platform, and so they had an existing platform, and then they had these 4 or 5 companies. And I was told, oh, well, we're going to take those companies, and they're ultimately going to come over here to the big parent company. Well, that didn't happen. It actually reversed. I was at the big company. All the acquisitions formed their own company and then swallowed me from the big company. So,
no.
Yes. So I went back to getting acquisition, and literally I was supposed to get LASIK surgery. And a week before this, they were having like a big sales kickoff. And I went to my manager and I was like, hey, should I go to this kickoff? He's like, nah, there's nothing to worry about. Don't worry about it. He calls me on Monday. He goes, yeah, you probably want to get down there because we're dissolving the team. So I had my dream job. Everything was amazing. They just dissolved the team completely. And I had to go lobby and find a job. So
Complete 180.
101, one day I have a beautiful job, I love it, and then I was told, you don't have a job, but we'll find a home for you. So I had to fly down to Texas, meet a whole bunch of people, and it took like 2 months. This is when I started working on a couple of my projects because I didn't know what was going to happen. Are they promising? Am I going to get a job? So then I said, look, I'm willing to kind of go through this. I just want a home. And they're like, well, listen, Kurt, we're going to sell, we're going to give you a job. You can go work and sell to the largest companies, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and like Maryland in the Northeast. So I said, that's amazing. That didn't happen. It was a complete lie. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they just gave me an overlap region. I was in the middle of Pennsylvania, like I'm selling construction technology in like Lancaster, come on, man. It's like, it was
Yeah.
like ketchup popsicles, and like, I'm pretty good at what I do. It was a very challenging thing. And
It was like a needle in a haystack.
It was a needle in a haystack, man. So I did that for a little bit, Bill. And, at that point, that was a humbling point. Because now I'm doing a job that I'm just getting crushed, and I'm watching the people around me, and no disrespect to them, but like their skills, I was selling enterprise solutions. Enterprise meaning I could sell multiple products and like the whole suite of products, not just one solo product. So like being able to do that, like I just had a reset, and I was just basically at a very lower tier level than what my skills were. And all I did is put my head down, grind, and say, listen, Kurt, this sucks. Kill it, you're gonna shine. Like I'm just gonna get back to it and just keep crushing and grinding, and that's what I did. And I finally got a meeting with like people, and they'd be like, well, I think where it changed for them and their perspective is like, put together your business plan. And when I went in there, it just like, wow, this is how this guy manages. Like, because I think like they were as managers.
Yeah, they weren't expecting that.
They didn't expect it. So it got to that point, and then I finally, I got a chance to jump into a management role because an opportunity came up because someone resigned, and that was like my big break. Finally, my whole life, I wanted to get to become a manager in corporate world is usually a challenge, man. Like to get to that step. And I thought that's what I always wanted to be. And then I kind of went down that road.
So, all right. So at this point, how many years had it been for you to get to this? You finally feel like you got your big break and you got this manager role. Like after how many years?
Like I want to say 12 years.
Okay.
12 years.
So 12 years. Yeah. So you worked 12 years.
Yeah. But I went from
busted your ass, dude.
Dude, like when I started sales, it was grinding, man. Like 2008ish time. So first off, the economy collapsed, and I'm out there like people are begging to they can't keep their lights on. My job was to go out. I had to do 30 meetings a month, and this wasn't like remote world. We had to do world where like I got in like my car, and I had to go to all the cities. I had the whole like Southeast region and the Northeast coast. I had to go out, meet like 30 companies a month, and be on the road 3 days a week, every week. And I'd have to physically come back with checks. So I'm going into companies, they don't know who I am, what I'm doing. And I'd be walking out within an hour with checks for $5,000, $10,000 in my hand. And I'd have to stack these up at the end of the month. I'd have to make $30,000, $40,000 from a $3,000 product. So I'd have to have like huge conversion rates, like 25-30%. And if you didn't hit that 1 month, it's like, okay, cool. Well, next month now you need to do double. And if you didn't have that, there was no like, right now it's like, it's very hard from a performance standpoint to get fired in a corporate world. There's a lot of documentation, and it's a big challenge, right? Everybody's like, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody's soft, but it's a lot different than it was. You were thrown on the curb. I've seen people fired for way less in that situation, right? So
yeah. So it was a lot more cutthroat when you were doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't like, a lot of the folks now are like they're like sales guys are afraid to pick up a phone. Like I used to have to Google companies, and it's like Brad's Engineering. So I'd call it up and be like, can I speak with John Smith? And they'd be like, I don't have a John Smith. So I'd be like, oh, well, my database says, I have a John Smith, and that's all I had at the time. So I was like, Can I talk to the engineering manager? And my whole goal was never to like deceive people or anything of that nature. It was always to help people. Like that was the intention. That's why I went into sales. People think sales is persuading or pushing things on people. It's asking questions and finding a need, problem, or goal and aligning what they need. And there's so many meetings I've gone into and I'm like, look guys, you don't have a need, problem, or goal. I can't solve anything. We should just like, let's save each other the time. We could bullshit for a little bit, but I can't sell you anything here. And they respected the shit out of that, man. And I think that's what made me good at like what I did. And I hope that like resonated with a lot of the people that I worked with.
Yeah, you got to be authentic in that. You know, I was telling you a little before, and like I'm a sales guy too myself, and it's like, you know, it will come back to bite you in the ass if you're trying to sell somebody something that they don't need, or people will know. They'll eventually catch on to that. It's so true, man.
You don't do that. Yeah. Never once in my life have I ever like misled anybody on anything ever. And you can't do that.
No, you can't.
Some sales guys do that. Like
and I think that unfortunately that's what gives us good sales guys a bad rap. You know, because over the years I just feel like salespeople in general have just gotten like just a bad reputation. You know, and it's not just one industry or one.
This is why my dad stopped talking to me. He's like, he looked at sales, even though he owns a contracting business and he sells. Because I was a salesperson, it's just you're going to be like that type of person.
Yeah, you're going to be that guy.
You're going to be that guy.
Yeah, same thing. Like that's your dad had that outlook, like as if like they're all bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And he probably met a lot of bad ones.
I'm sure he did.
There's a lot of and it depends on the sale. Like depending on what people are selling, there's different quality. When you start selling products for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, that's a very different experience than selling something for $5 or $10. You're going to see different tactics used. That's where you get your used car salesman tactics. No disrespect to any used car salesman. It's a great job, but you do see some of that stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. A little bit of a different level, a lot more at risk,
Exactly. The more risk, the more complicated the sale is.
Yeah. Okay. So you get this after 12 years, right? You get this dream job.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Then what?
So I get this team. So the company didn't know what to do with the team, right? They had these, I don't want to call it like a leftover team. They just didn't know what to do with them. There was a lot of inefficiency, overlap, and duplication. So this team, I'm taking over a team. My first manager job, now I'm managing products I've never used. So I was like, okay, I used one of the products and I'm like, well, sales is sales. You need to learn a little bit about the value proposition of what these products do. So I did gain that, right? So I have this team of like 6 or 8 people and they come on board. And, it was tough for me because I thought I was signing up to take a sales job. And actually the folks that I took over, some of them were sales, but some of them were just technical sales. So they actually worked hand in hand with the salesperson. So the salesperson would lead the conversations and then their job was to show the software. So for me, this was my first I'm like, okay, I thought I was taking a sales job, but now I'm actually managing a technical sales team. Very different world. So what we did is we came up with a plan to divide and conquer, and that was our strategy for year 1 with this team. And we did really well. I was able to show the company like, look, these folks are really talented and have a lot of potential. And they're like, okay, how do we get more efficiency? So they said, what if we build out a plan? What if we give you 20 people or like build the team up to 16? So I said, okay. So I'm like, I'm like this new manager, like, let's do it. So we end up building up the team. And we start inheriting different groups and just kind of reorging everybody, within the company. So I start managing this team and it, instead of them selling one product, I taught them how to cross-sell multiple products so that they can go to a customer and give them different value propositions and we can increase sales overall. Plus they're increasing their skill sets. And again, the whole goal is that these products eventually are going to be phased out to become this, like we had these mergers, but at the same time we were working to like integrate everything all together. So I was like managing this team, right? Like I'm trying to like, I'm working with all these guys and girls and, it just kept climbing. I kept getting more and more responsibility. So to put this in perspective too, Bill, like it got to a level where, I kept climbing up and getting more people. And then I finally got, I was managing ICs, individual contributors. And then finally we grew so big, I got to manage managers. So that's 2 worlds. I had to learn all this really quick. Usually it takes years. You usually are a manager and you manage up to 7 to 8 people is like usually kind of the ratios that you want to stay in it for the technology I was doing. So quickly within like 6 months, I had to go from managing ICs to then managing ICs and managers. Whereas like a lot of the people in my company, they were managing, like an area director would manage just 3 managers. That's all their job. I don't want to say just their job. Their job was just to manage like 3 people. And those were managers. And then the managers did everything. I was managing 2 managers, 5 ICs. Then I had 2 people in the UK, one person Australia. So I was doing international teams. I had to work all hours of like, Australian hours and West Coast. So I had West Coast, Central, and then the multiple time zones in Canada.
That's insane.
I didn't even know about. So I would like split my day up.
Yeah.
I was working 20 hours, some days 20 hours a day, like just, and I wanted to fight and do what I can because I was constantly getting like questioned, like, hey, do we need all these people? Because like numbers weren't there for a month for whatever reason, because there was lack of resources, and I would always have to justify, like, I have all this job, and I'd have to stop and take a break and be like, all right, I'd have to build a business plan of why we need these people. And that shit just drove me crazy, man, because it was it was a waste of my time. But the company was always pushing you to get more efficient and lean, and that's why they are where they are. They did a great job, but it's a real big challenge to do that. So we grow this team. I have 2 managers. I'm managing multiple ICs, multiple continents. Then they, decided to build the first construction product themselves. They put me in charge of the release of this product. So it's a brand new, it was to do estimating and takeoffs, like quantity takeoffs. So they built this brand new product. I was in charge of this product line. So I had to how's it work? And it went from everything from like marketing, it went from inside sales to outside sales, customer support, the product itself, and I was responsible for the overall numbers on that. So in addition to that, I was also responsible for all the revenue from all the brands. So each of the brands, I had five or six different brands. So we're talking $60 million, and I had to break it down and forecast my own group. Plus I had to forecast on we laid over hundreds of people. So each of those managers, I had to break my forecast down for them. So I spent a lot of time cutting numbers to show how much we were going to make in other regions and things of that nature. So
man, I hope they were paying you a real lot of money.
They paid me very well. No, I honestly, they took, it was the most incredible financial opportunity in my life. Made a lot of financial money, which has allowed me to be in the position that I'm in now. And it changed my life. So they did pay me very well. I don't think it'll ever be enough. But the funny story is I made more money when I was an individual contributor just selling by myself at that first job that they dissolved than I was when I was managing 20 people on an international team.
Wow,
because
insane.
The quotas were set so high, there was so much unknown. And in order for the managers in the corporate world, it's not some people think the managers are sitting up there as long as everybody does kind of a good job. At this company, every single person had in order for me to get 100% of my paycheck, every person out of those 20 people had to hit 100% as well.
Oh, wow.
So, and there's a longer story in that, but it was challenging, right? So there's a lot of stress that goes into this. And my life, man, just became work. I didn't have time. I'm saying, I'm not joking. I'd wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and have amazing ideas. And I'm like, oh my God, we could be better. And I'd work from 1 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night the next day, 20 some hours, sometimes. And it wasn't work to me all the time, but it did take over my life. And I let it take over my life, because there was always problems and I just kept getting more. Towards the end, when I was working there, I got another acquisition and he put me in charge of that. So it was just crazy, man.
Yeah. So I want to kind of just ask you a little bit about, you said it kind of took over your life, right? And you said I know at one point you told me, off camera before, you didn't really have many hobbies, right? Mm-hmm. And people be like, well, how do you do it all, right? Because exactly. I get that question a lot too. It's well, Bill, how do you manage to do all the things you do?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people always ask me, and it's just I don't know, I just do it.
Yeah.
But also I also don't have a lot of hobbies, similar, right?
Yeah, I kayak and snowboard, and I just think of ways to solve problems and inefficiencies. This goes back to the engineer. This is how my brain is. All day, I just think about people getting annoyed, I think, because I'm out at the bar or wherever I am, and I'm just why do they have this set up like this? They could do that. And it's I turn into a nerd, and my girlfriend loves that. She's talk nerdy to me. That's it's a gift, but it's also a curse, man. It's like Eminem when he's it's just lyrics, and it's that's how my brain works with trying to solve problems. And then I go home and I write 100 business ideas down, and I want to do them all, but I can't, do a limited time and just trying to focus.
Dude, I feel you. I'm in that same boat.
Yep.
Me, you, and Jimmy T. Martin.
I love it.
We're all in
just
that
wired the same.
Yeah. And it's different. I think a lot of people don't understand people like us.
Yeah.
Somebody might look at you. There's even probably gonna be some people that are listening to just be like, that dude's a wacko.
Yeah,
why would he work that much? And it's well, you just don't understand him.
Yeah.
And I understand.
If I didn't work this much, when I have free time, again, my mind wanders and goes back to all the dark shit in my life. And it's I don't want to think like that. I'd rather use my energy positive. And, one day maybe I reflect back. I don't know the psychology on this, if that's a good or bad thing, but it's been working, and I've been able to turn the negative energy into something positive, man. So it's what I continue to do.
It's all that matters, dude.
That's it.
Yeah. So, okay. But back to you're managing 10 million people around the globe, right?
Yeah.
Doing very well for yourself. Yeah. But then it comes to a screeching halt.
Yep.
Right. What
comes to the halt.
Yeah.
So this is one of those moments where Bill, I could say like, oh, look, man, I just walked away from the industry, right? I just walked away and I wanted to be great at like something else. It wasn't like that. I chose to walk away from the industry. I did not choose to walk away from the job I had. I loved my job and I was fired from my job. And that's the first time publicly I talk about like being let go from the job. So it's like still to this day bothers me big time, man. It's the first time I've and I want to talk about it because I think a lot of people will hit a roadblock in their life and they're going to make mistakes and they're going to fail. And I contributed my moment of weakness and my failure to the stress that I put on myself working all these hours. And I was also, when I talk about like having, when the company, there's a lot of pressure, man, and to be efficient, so constantly it's like, hey, we got to eliminate roles. So there's a lot of really good people that did a lot of good jobs for me. And I had to eliminate the role for the business. There was a lot of decisions I had to disagree and commit with because I had managers above me and it did make business sense. But in the corporate world, man, business is business and people sometimes aren't considered as people. And I struggle with that being an empathetic person. And I think I've actually thought about this. I don't know if that, I have the ability to be an incredible manager. Like Gary Vee talks about being empathetic, but I think some of the best managers can separate empathy and feelings from their staff. And it goes both ways. I think there are some great leaders that can do that. And I really struggle. I could do it to an extent, but when people are doing their job, I struggle. And there's a lot of shit that ate at me. And ultimately what happened is, for the first time, now I've been managing a team, talking to people every day for 2 years. I have never met these people in life. I had to let go of one of my managers and it was really emotional time for me. So we finally got down to Nashville. So my career started in Nashville. It ends in Nashville, which I thought was kind of crazy. So we had a celebration. It was, I got to meet the team, a lot of emotions, we drank a lot. And ultimately I was surrounded around a lot of, it was an offsite event. I was in Kid Rock's bar. I said the wrong shit to the wrong people at the wrong time. And I take accountability for it. I'm sorry. And it was I wish I could replay the night all over again. And I can't take it back. I screwed up. And I think there was a mixture of a lot of things that happened with it. It's not just like me. There's politics, there's, cancel culture. There's a lot of shit that was there. Ultimately, it's me. It was my responsibility. I own it. I fucked up, but I need to move forward, man. And I do believe that is the only way I would have left corporate world to do this, man, because I was being paid so well and treated so great and had this team. I mean, yes, I was working my ass off, but to walk away from that, I don't think it was possible. And I would have never underperformed. I was always going to perform. And I've always had this path. My boss asked me to put together an IDP, an individual development plan. And I've always had this split, this fork in the road. If I go left, I just continue climbing the corporate tree, but I always have regrets going right. And I would always tell them, I don't know when that split's going to happen. I kind of laid out a plan of I need X amount of dollars to go this direction. And this was life's punch in the face. Mike Tyson, one of my idols, he literally, he said, you always have a plan until you get punched in the face. This was a kick in the face, stomped me, took me completely out, man. And I look at it as, again, a positive. As much as I regret it and it's humiliating to admit all this, it was so impactful. And it showed me you need to leave the corporate world and make more impact. I was spending, I told you about all the forecasting and stuff. I'd spend 5-10 hours a week just putting together numbers, and it's required. But for me, I'm I want to spend 5-10 hours a week helping people, building shit, making tangible things. I this isn't the life that I signed up for. I got out of engineering because I was stuck in a cubicle just talking to people. I love sales because I got to go out and meet with people, and then COVID hit and took all that away. And then we went to a remote world and I lost all that. So that's ultimately what happened, Bill, is I ended up, being let go from the company. And at that point, I mean, talk about dark times, man. I stayed in a bedroom. I talked about my gone days or
the reset days.
3 weeks, lost hair, alopecia, just anxiety. I didn't talk to anyone. And, I was thrown to the curb from the corporate world, man. Nobody reached out really. My boss at the time was very supportive, as much as he possibly could be. But it's been pretty much since that day, I've worked my ass off and did my whole life and pretty much have been dissociated with at the company. And it's I have mixed feelings on that. I understand it. I get the business. I understand the whole thing, but it is what it is, man. And that's why up until this week, I've put this all past. It is what it is. I take the positive as it's given me amazing opportunities to do all these incredible projects that we're going to talk about, but it's also given me an incredible opportunity to meet all these amazing people that I'm going to be able to help and that are helping me. And they're also helping my mom. So I'm going to take that and kind of run with it, man. And it's sad to think that when all this happened, what helped me get through this, if anybody's going through a terrible time or you screw up or make a mistake or say the wrong shit, whatever it is, nature, man. I went back to nature, and I would take walks on the Back Mountain Trail, and I'd sit in a waterfall, and I would stare up at the trees, and, you know, I'd see the leaves changing. Everything's dead. You know, I felt dead inside. And, you know, there's cliffs, there's rocks all over the place. It's like, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't just staring there. And like, you just think about jumping, man. Like, you just think about throwing yourself off this cliff, how much easier it would be. You're a failure. You're worthless. Like, and I look back at that, I'm like, man, it's like, if I get inspired, like the reason I'm sharing all this, I could have just said like, hey, yeah, we just left the industry. I don't want other people to go through that, man. It was really dark fucking time in my life. And I'm really happy that I was able to get through it. And I have a bigger purpose in my life to impact a lot more people.
So, okay. So you were going on these nature walks as what? As a way to try to just... On the Stacks will be back in a flash after a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Elevation Wellness, NEPA's premier wellness center located on Mundy Street in Wilkes-Barre. From pro athletes to busy parents, Elevation Wellness is leading the conversation when it comes to bettering your health through integrative medicine. Founded by NEPA native Louis Helmecke, Elevation Wellness offers physician-formulated and guided treatments that are administered by registered nurses. To learn more about how you can experience the benefits of IV vitamin therapy, multivitamin booster shots, non-invasive aesthetics, or peptide, NAD, red light, and compression therapy, visit elevation-wellness.com or follow them on Instagram at Elevation Wellness NEPA. All On The Stacks listeners will receive 10% off their first purchase with code STACKS at checkout. Call 570-762-9400 or visit elevation-wellness.com to book your appointment today. Elevation Wellness, taking your health to new heights. Welcome to the future. While you're hearing this ad in the present, the Center for Technology Innovation at Lackawanna College is preparing students for the jobs of tomorrow in the world of advanced technology. The Center for Technology Innovation will offer undergraduate degree programs, corporate training, as well as short-term stackable certificates in areas such as robotics, cybersecurity, electric vehicles, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. Based at a 90,000 square foot facility in downtown Scranton, Pennsylvania, the Center for Technology Innovation is located 2 hours from the major cities of New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, and is just 15 minutes from a commercial airport in a region thriving with tourist attractions and a vibrant restaurant, educational, and cultural scene. Lackawanna College is a proven industry-leading innovator. But don't just take my word for it. Fast Company even recognized Lackawanna College's reputation for innovation by naming them to their top 10 list as one of the world's most innovative companies. For more information or to enroll, call 877-346-3552 or visit lackawanna.edu.
My commercial practice begins with the business itself. We start from the formation of the type of business that would be best suited for the client and work our way through even the termination of the business, dissolving the business, changing the business, which incorporates succession plans and amendments throughout the business.
To learn more, visit Anzalone Law offices online at anzalonelaw.com. And now we're back on the Stacks. So, okay, so you were going on these nature walks as what? As a way to try to just get yourself...
Soul search.
Okay, soul search.
Soul search about what do I want to do with my life.
But at the same time, you also looked, you know, as you were on these trails or whatever, and you also contemplated jumping off the cliff as you're trying to refine yourself here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I missed that question.
Yeah,
just start jumping off the cliff.
Yeah, no. So you went soul searching, right? But at the same time, you're also in because of this, you were in a real dark place.
Yeah, it wasn't like I walked on a trail and like I was actually gonna I don't think I would have ever did anything. But my mind, it's just like
your mind wanders.
You think there, and it got to a point where I felt like such a failure that I looked up at a rock and I'm like, I need to climb to the top of the mountain and show that I could do this. And I literally like climbed up on the top of the hill, like Rocky running up this thing, stood up on this like mountain and just sat there and like screamed. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do to my life, man? Like, wow, how am I going to rebuild this? And I knew instantly that this is catastrophic from a financial, emotional standpoint. I destroyed everything that I had and it's gone overnight. And again, Mike Tyson, I look at his life, there's so many parallels, but he's on a bigger scale, like of what he went through. And it's like, he had the greatness and then lost it all and tragedy and stuff. And I mirror a lot of parallels from him. I respect his honesty about all the shit that he's gone through, all the drugs, the being in jail for what he did. And if Mike, you're listening, man, I love you, man. You're a big fan. I'm a big fan. But like, yeah, man, like I just went on these nature walks and it just kind of helped me like, okay, what the hell do you want to do with your life? And I went home and I pulled up the whiteboard in my basement and I wrote, what makes me happy? What am I good at? I started writing skills. What am I good at? What drives me? And then I made a list of all these items, and I said, like, real estate, helping people and improving the community, and what can I do? And I took all my management experience and blended it all together. And that's where the new beginning started, man. Is after the soul searching, I said, I don't care about money anymore. Like, I've always jumped jobs and took jobs for money because I wanted to go on my own one day. That was ultimately the goal. Corporate life was always a vehicle, but I was like, well, shit, if I could stay on this, I mean, the CEO is making some pretty goddamn good money. So like, maybe I could stay there and maybe I will be happy. I wouldn't be happy. And it's all been about the control. I want to control my life. The power and the control, it's not about the power of like over other people. I don't look like that. It's the power of financial freedom of, I'm always going to work, but I don't have to work, or I don't want to work, or like today I want to do this. I wasn't able to see my mom. Now I'm able to take my mom out. So like, that's a big thing for me, but it was like just the control of my life. So I have to help my mom. She can't cook on the stove. I have to go to her house every Wednesday. I cook her a meal.
Dinner?
I cook my mom meal every Wednesday. I take her out for lunch on Tuesdays, and then I help her with chores on another day.
What meal is it on Wednesday?
It's different.
Is it dinner?
She
lunch?
likes no. It's dinner. It's like it's like a dinner, and there's like a lot of.
Well, good. So this episode, by the way, these episodes come out on a Wednesday in the evening, so you guys can eat. You guys can eat dinner, and then right after you can watch the show at 7:30.
That'll be amazing.
So.
No, it's amazing. No, so yeah, man. I mean, that's what happened on these nature walks, though. I kind of reflected and said, like, let's not. Fortunately, again, I don't want to speak badly on anybody I worked with or the company or anything like that. They gave me an opportunity that was incredible. I think the company Autodesk was it's one of the best companies in the world, and I miss everybody I worked with, and I respect everybody, and I have nothing bad to say about anybody. We're moved past it, and we're all in better places. And I hope that this is the first time I get an opportunity. Hopefully, like if anybody sees it from there, I just want them to know that, man. I want them like to know like we're good. Like everybody's good, man. Like
it's cool now.
It's okay. We're good. I hope. Like,
virtual handshake with them. You know, right?
Maybe not everybody. Maybe. I'm sure.
But
not
a few. Just maybe a few of them.
Right.
So okay. So but you talked. Like a little bit ago, you talked about when you did that whatever that was, that self-assessment with one of your managers, and you had like that split in the road, right?
Yes.
You talked about that split, and it was always like one was, what was it? Say it again.
So the one side was to just continue to climb the corporate ladder.
Yep.
The other side was to go out on my own. And then I literally listed down what are my goals in the next like 3 to 5 years. I could tell you this shit. All the goals that I want to do in the next 5 years, I'm on path to do every single one of them within like 12 months. So I'm tackling that list and doing everything I've ever wanted to in my life.
Hell yeah.
I'm still in the startup phase. I wouldn't consider myself like great. I say, like when I watch a show, I see all these people that come on here and they're all like super, super successful. And like they're at that point in their career. Whereas like, I'm just like, I'm starting out, man. Half of these might fail, but I don't care. I'm doing what I love, and I'm helping people. I'm improving the community, helping people, improving the community. That's all I care about right now. I obviously need money to pay my bills.
Sure.
But that's what I want to do, man. So.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so like, it's talking about, always like chasing the money, like chasing a paycheck. And do you feel like that your whole life you've just chased the paycheck, just
the carrot? I'm on a treadmill. Just
dangling, constant.
Never can get it, never hit the quota. You're always getting bigger quotas. And it actually, the more I worked and the longer I was there, I was making, like I said, I made less money. I kind of, like, I go back and think about it, and it's like, I don't know if I'd want it. Like, if I ever went back to the corporate world, I think maybe one day either I want to have, like, I'm working on some tech companies myself, but if I ever joined another company, I'd want to join a startup, a small business, and, kind of go back to that, man. It's like, it is fun doing that stuff. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. So how do you avoid making? So you made this tragic mistake, this error, right? That cost you your whole career, basically up to that point, right? Yep. It sounds like you've learned your lesson, right? In terms of like, oh shit, I won't do that again. Yep. But you're obviously out of the corporate world, right? But just in life in general, and just even any of your new businesses and startups that you're doing now, how do you? What did you take from that, and how are you going to be able to keep yourself like in check that, hey, so you don't make that mistake again?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. First off, I put myself in a really bad position. One, by the stress. Two, alcohol played a big part in this, like the majority of the part. And I had COVID at the same time, so who knows what that impacted. That, like, when this all went down, I ended up having COVID, so nobody could even be around me to support me through this entire shit that went down. So I'm stuck in that's one of the reasons why I was stuck in a room.
Yeah.
So that happened, and I think from this experience, it's me being able to teach people and younger guys and girls that work for me about the importance of words and how words matter. Words matter, and that's kind of where it's at, man. It's I learned my lesson. I can assure you that I went through the darkest period of my life. I will never put myself in a position ever like that. My grandmother, who I love more than anything in the world, man, she would always tell me, watch your back. And I always took that as like literal. And that's, it was watch your back and who you're around and like compose yourself. She hated like when I would go out and drink and stuff. So that was, I would say, if you're at a corporate event, be very cautious. Don't have fun, be social, but don't let your emotions and your stress and don't cope with your problems and climb in the bottle, which is what I was doing every single weekend at the corporate world. Now I don't have time to drink. And like, I still go out and stuff, but it's like the rush I get from real estate is fucking better than anything I've ever had in my life. Like, it's unbelievable, man. So that's like, I don't need it like, to that level. And I'm very happy. And it's like, I think it's just doing something you're unhappy. Don't do shit that you're unhappy with because something bad's going to happen. So that's like the advice that I would say.
No, it's so true, man.
Yeah.
And like this building here that I bought this building in July, right? So I haven't been in here that long, right?
Right.
And kind of to piggyback off of what you said about like, you don't have time to do that. You don't have time to go drink. You don't have time to hang out and do this, right?
I feel terrible, man. I can't even call my friends are calling me and shit. I have so many projects going on. And
I know.
You got to block time out for it, but it's like I'm trying to change the world, man. I don't give a shit about going out and getting French fries. Like,
right. Yeah, so like saying it's a very similar thing with me, and I've actually joked, with people like I bought this building and I had spent a lot of time. You asked me when you walked in the door, like, oh, like did you do this, And I renovated a lot of the building, and it may not seem like a lot, but there was a lot going on here. Like, I literally redid like this whole place, for the most part. And, I did it, I had some people helping me, some family and things like that. Major projects I couldn't do it. I hired somebody to do some bigger projects, but like it consumed so much of my time that like, I actually started eating healthier and drinking less. Not that I quit drinking, right?
Yeah.
But here we go. All right, we got to pop.
That's why we're not drinking the bottle right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we're busy. We're busy. Good things happening, right? But yeah, like I bought the building, like I lost some weight, and like I joke now, and I told everybody like, yeah, like if you ever want to lose weight, just get into real estate.
Yep.
Literally, just get into real estate because you won't have time. You won't have time to do anything else. Like, but that. I am exaggerating when I say that. Obviously, the building's up and running here, and now it's just it's not that it's on autopilot, but it's like on autopilot, right? I'm not replacing the bathroom. I'm not putting new floors down. I'm not, doing all this crazy stuff here. It's basically almost all set now, but I joke and I tell everybody like, oh yeah, well actually I lost like 10 pounds because I was here, for so many hours, nights and weekends, just every single day, like just to get it done, and I was so passionate about getting it up and running, and I put a lot of the pressure and stress on myself because I want to be in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm doing a lot of the work. And again, I had some people help, but at the same time, like I also like felt bad. Like I was trying to get people to like, hey, could you help me with this? Could you help me with that? And like, I just like would feel guilty. So I was like, I'll just come do it myself, but again, very helpful or very appreciative of all the people that did help me.
Absolutely.
But same thing. It's like, I didn't have that. I was able to at that point in my life, which, is again, only just this past July.
Yeah.
But to kind of like, I stopped eating as much junk food because I wasn't sitting home on the couch.
Yep.
I wasn't sitting home eating the bag of chips. Now, do I still eat a bag of chips? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but like, it's not like, I'm not just sitting home, just, drinking some beers or going out for this happy hour or doing that. It's like, I got, bigger priorities here now,
You bring up a good point about like staying healthy and stuff, like losing weight or whatever. All this shit, like you saw my life, right? Like 2014, 2015, in addition to all the things happening with I told you about the hell week, right? My uncle, my best friend, and my mom. So that wasn't it, right? Throughout the years, I had another friend, was a Penn State buddy. I went to all the away games with him. I get a phone call. Yeah, he died. He had a heart attack in his sleep, 36. Nothing wrong with him. So he dies. And I'm like these people are just, like, I should be mad at the world. They're just taken away from me. My other friend, who was in Florida, this kid changed his entire life. His name's Nick Corvino. He literally was unbelievable. He didn't even graduate, got a GED, ended up going to like Florida State, I think, graduated top of his class, was working with Pam Bondi. There's pictures of him with Trump, killing life, working for Disney, the happiest guy I've ever met in my entire life. I'm on a business trip. I wake up, fucking Nick Corvino murdered, shot in his sleep by roommate 13 times. Like, dude, what? You can't even like put that in words. And his mental illness, is a big thing. And his roommate had an episode and murdered my friend. I had to fly down to Florida. It was still to this day. It's like like, I feel robbed, man. Like my friends, like that's 3 friends. I have more. Like there's more that have died every single year. I'm just like, well, I haven't been able to say in a year, like, oh my God, this is a good year. But like a good year for me is I don't lose a friend. And I haven't been able to do that in 10 years and it sucks. And I mean, that's part of like being social and networking with a lot of people. But then this is the downside of that. And I can't stay mad at it, man. Like it's sad. But how do we make a positive out of this? And, how do we, we're not going to go into the politics about the whole situation, but it's like, I dealt with that shit. And it's like, I want to go like kind of switching the subject, going back to like just being healthy and stuff. This shit ate at me. I gained so much weight. Like I was normally like, I don't know, let's say like low 200s. I was like 285. I went up to like 285, probably gained 85, 90 pounds.
Wow.
So people like are quick to judge. Like, again, there's like, if you see friends and shit, gaining a lot of weight, talk to them. There's something going on with their life. Personally, professionally, there's something wrong, like physically. I mean, be careful about how you approach the subject, but there's something there and you should show, like, don't be like, John's, Jesus.
Yeah, John's looking a little big today.
Yeah, like there's shit going on, man.
Yeah.
And if you see people drinking hard and stuff, there's shit going on. That's what I was doing. I was drinking hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't care about that. When your mom is sitting there and she can't talk and whatever, I don't have time to worry about eating healthier. And I have so much shit managing. I don't want to manage food. I just want to eat. It's the one thing that makes me happy for 10 minutes before I have to go back to the shitty reality. So I gained a ton of weight. Going back to Mike Tyson and the weight loss, real estate definitely helps you lose weight. At that time, I wasn't doing a lot of that. I had a friend come to me and he goes, listen, man, I'm worried about your health. My friend Ryan, great friend, childhood friend. He's like, I want to make a bet with you. If you can lose weight and get back to, summer of, I forget what year it was. He's like, I'll give you $1,500. He just wanted to create an incentive. And a lot of people got pissed off at him for doing that. And actually it was a good thing. It was like one of these things that's like, oh, shit, man, God, well, thanks. You don't, how do you like approach somebody about this? So maybe this is I don't know if this is a suggested way, because it could go either way. I took it as like, I don't lose. All right, I'll bet you. And I said, let's take that 1,500. I'll double it. And then my company at the time was very generous and taught me about giving back. So I'm going to like another shout out to, I don't know if they want me to shout them out, but Autodesk taught me about generosity and giving back to everybody. So they doubled and matched it. So ultimately what was on the table, $6,000. And I believe in talking about goals, stating them out loud. Ben Nemtin is a guy that like got a bus. Him and his buddies went out, they wrote the bucket list, and then they literally went around the world, and every item that they crossed off, they helped another stranger do it. And I forget the statistics, but you have to write down your goals. That's what I was telling. I made my team do it. I do it. Write down your goals for the year. Write them down. Like every year, you have to do this. And if you write them down, if you don't write them, you're probably not going to do them. So write your shit down and kind of go forward with it. So in addition to my gram, she passed away. She always wanted to see me get back in shape. My buddy Ryan, he's like, betting me this money. And then I turn on the fucking TV. Mike Tyson is on Shark Week looking like he's 20 years old getting ready to fight. And I'm like, holy shit, my idol, if he's this old and looks this good, I could do this shit, man. So at the time, I just learned, I studied, my girlfriend taught me macro dieting, and, I started the macro diet, and I lost 80 pounds in 7 months by eating 1,000 calories a day. And then the last 2 weeks got really insane because I was going to Kalahari and I wanted to celebrate this, but I wasn't at the weight. I needed to lose 17 more pounds in a week. How do you do that? So now this isn't recommended. This is what only people remember.
Guys, don't try this at home.
Do not try this at home. This is not recommended. But so Christian Bale did this for The Machinist. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
No.
He's disgusting looking in it, right? Like he's bones.
So, yes, okay, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I
went on it. I went on the diet that he did because I wanted to get this weight off to win this challenge so that I can go and celebrate. I didn't want to go, like, it would have been miserable because I was like so close to the deadline of when me and my buddy set this, and I was very like, this was like live or die, man. Like I was all in mentally that if I didn't lose this weight, like I wasn't living. This was my pure focus on the earth to get down to like a certain weight. So I'm on this diet. The diet consisted of apples and coffee. That is it. 4 apples a day and as much coffee as you'd like. So I'd eat an apple in the morning, the afternoon, mid-afternoon, and day. And I did that for 7 days and lost 17 pounds. It was absolutely miserable, terrifying towards the end, but it cut the weight. I put on the weight like the following week, but I didn't care. It was just to cut the weight. And I'm sure Jimmy and like all the wrestlers out there have way crazier shit where, I mean, I was eating apples, and then I went into the hot tub dehydrating myself. I was wrapping my skin because I just wanted to meet the weight, and I took it off, and it was there. So it was like, it's crazy, man, how the world works, because Mike Tyson got there. You're talking about the weight loss, and I just thought it'd be a fun story to share that.
Yeah.
If you put your mind to this. And ultimately, I did this to raise money for charities, man. Like I wanted to give back.
Yeah, you weren't
and
just doing it for,
No, the main reason I wanted to give back, and I did it on my grandmother's birthday. She was a foster parent who fostered over like 200 kids. And she taught me, like I was an only child, but I had so many brothers and sisters, man. I was introduced to diversity when it wasn't like when I was a little kid. Like people would stare at like white kids and black kids and shit. Like that wasn't like, you know, it was like, why are you, you know, and it's just our area. And it's like for a long time, it was our area back then. I'm sure there's some people there and we've progressed a lot, but I was like ingrained into that. And these were my brothers and sisters. And I never knew the shit that they were going through. They were just kids that my grandmother was taking care of. So I learned how to be like best friends with all these people. So I ended up donating the money I forget, it was Brandon's Forever Home and then the Jumpstart Cart. So we donated $6,000 to
awesome,
those
dude.
organizations through the help of my friend and everything from that.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing time.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And it really just goes to show, like, it really is all just about, like, your mindset of it. I mean, like, it really, really, really is.
100%. It's the whys, and you need to document the whys. And if you set, like, I've always been able to set goals. I don't lose, man. Like, I'm done. I get hyper. I don't know if it's just because of how my brain's wired. Like, I'm usually all over the place. That's why I told you, like, yeah, you got to keep me in the lane.
It's all good. Yeah.
I get hyper obsessed, and it's a blessing and a curse.
I get it, man.
You know?
I'm the same way, man. Yeah, it's like you
I'm
go
foaming at the mouth.
yeah, you're
just
so
like, let me know.
obsessed about this right now, right? No, but like it's same thing with me, man. It's like, you know, you get this thing in your mind, you write down this goal, and it's just like nothing can stop you, and like you just become so focused, so obsessed at achieving the goal. But I think, you know, again, like you said, it's a blessing and a curse. And a lot of people, I feel like when they hear me talk about like obsession, like, yeah, sometimes maybe it could become a bit much, right? But I think some of the most successful people in the world and some of the biggest and best, highest performers, like they all are like that, you know? And if you want to be either the best at what you do or you want to accomplish some goals that nobody else is accomplishing, like that's what you got to do. Like you have to become obsessed with it. Otherwise it's like, you know, it's just like, I'll maybe make the goal. It's
exactly.
Like, you know, it's.
No, you got to go all in, man.
Yeah. 0 to 100.
100%.
Right?
That's where I'm at. I either crash. So it's either crash, like I have a gone day, or I'm going 100 miles an hour, because it goes the other way. I can go like hyper obsessive and productive, or I have those days where I just crash and I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is happening?
Right.
It's like, it's very weird, man.
I know.
It's like I wake up and I don't know. I snap out of it. And there's certain times where I'm just like, oh God, like for no reason, for like an hour.
Do you get like physically sick too sometimes?
Yeah.
Like on those off days? Right?
Today I didn't feel great. Like when I came in, because I couldn't sleep last night with all the shit going on, like I'm working on all these projects. I didn't get a good night's sleep and like kind of had a headache. And it's like, yeah, some days like the stress just, it takes you out, man.
Yeah, dude, I get it. Like some days like I'll go home and like I'll feel it in the morning, right? I'll have like an off day, right? And then like I'll go home and then it's just like, I get home, like the day I my body just sometimes will feel like worse and worse and worse throughout the day. Right. And then like I get home and then like you said, it's like that crash, right? I'll get home and like this doesn't happen often, by the way. So my mom's probably like watching. Like, she's probably gonna call me right now when she hears this. Like, oh my God, are you okay? Right. Yes, Mom, I'm okay. But like there's times like that where again, I'll go home and I'll just be like, I'll say to my wife, I'm like, I just don't feel good. Yeah. And she's like, just lay down. And I'm like, yeah, she's like, this last time this happened, you just lay down and the next day you're good. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, I feel like maybe because, you know, and I would say like, the last couple of weeks have just been like a lot. Yeah. You know, physically, mentally, all that. And it's just like, I just need like that reset. But sometimes I feel like I get like maybe so stressed or whatever it is. Yeah. And like, I just become like almost like physically sick, but only for like a 24-hour thing. And then like I lay down, like I don't do anything. Like, you know, for anybody that knows me, I'm always doing something. I'm always, you know, the computer, the phone, like, you know, of course, yeah, you know, we have family time. We have a son. He's almost 2 years old. You know, not saying that I don't do that stuff. I do. Yeah. But like, you know, when, you know, if he's sleeping or whatever, you know, my wife's watching a show on TV, I'm on the computer doing something. You know what I mean? Like you know, she's doing her thing. I'll do mine. And like, I don't just sit there. Like I don't just sit still. So like I'm always like doing something. But on days like that, I'll go home, like on those like off days. Yep. And like, if I'm not on the computer, like then like, you know, something's wrong. Yep. You know what I mean? It's exactly. Like, and it's like that. Those are the days. Like I have those days where I don't even open the laptop when I'm home. I'm just like, I just lay down and like just go to bed.
That's it.
But then I'm good. Yeah. But then I'm good like the next day. But like for me,
I thought I was weird, so this is good. Like,
yeah, it's not just you. Yeah, and at least I know now too. It's not just me. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
we just become best friends,
right? Yeah. Should we go do karate in the garage?
We could do it. Speaking of karate,
yes, yeah.
Dude,
jeez, yeah.
You went to karate, right?
I did.
That's amazing.
I did. Yeah. Yeah, we
What belt did you get to?
black.
You went to black?
Yeah.
You kicked my ass, man.
I did, yeah. And I know I don't think we really talked about this, but I started at Martin's Karate. I didn't get my black belt there. I ended up going to a different school, Hunsinger's. But yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah, sorry, Jimmy. But no, man, like, you know, it was cool. Like I started when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Same, man.
And did it for 10 years, and got my black belt when I was like 16.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That impact your life? Do you
Oh
feel
my
like
God.
it like
Oh,
helped you?
totally. Oh yeah. The discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was, yeah, man, like it was, it taught me so much. Like, and I know I've said this so many times, but I'll tell you because you've never heard this.
Yeah.
But there was a sign, like, and this goes back to Martin's Karate when I was like really, really young, like a little kid, you know, I was, you know, again, 7, 8 years old. Right. And there was a sign on the wall that said, "Winners never quit, quitters never win."
Love it.
Right. That was it.
Winners win, man.
That was it.
That.
You know what I mean? Like, and you know, and at the time it was like, you know, as a little kid, you may not realize what it means, and you just kind of like equate it like quitting and winning or whatever. But like the more you think about it, it's just about like discipline and staying the course. And it's not actually about necessarily, of course, yeah, you want to win, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you are going to win. But the only way you're going to win is if you don't quit.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and like whether it takes you 10 years or 12 years or 15, whatever it is, like you just don't quit. And if you believe in it and put your mind to it and just stay the course, like you're going to win.
Yes.
You know, and again, winning is subjective, however you want to look at it. Doesn't matter to me, but you're going to win. You're going to win at something. Life, business, like whatever it is, like whatever you're trying to achieve. It's just, you know, so like that, you know, that's specific, like that was like ingrained in my brain, like that sign, right? Like just that alone. I could tell you thousands of stories, you know what I mean? But like, you know, just again, that from when I was such like a young kid, like just seeing that, you know, I wasn't there every day, but a few times a week I would, you know, see that and training and all that. And yeah, man, I talk about it all the time. I've probably, you know, for my regular listeners, they're probably sick of hearing that story because I've told that story, you know, on multiple other shows. But again, it was, you know, like that's the impact that like it's had.
It's crazy how things like when you're a kid, because I went to karate too, right? Like I went to Grant's martial arts, and it was crazy. I got paired up at a wedding, and Gary Grant was there, the owner, and man, he's still scary. It's just like the discipline that you learn is so different. And like, I think kids and, you know, people that are going into this now are like, I want to be an MMA fighter. And like, I didn't go into that. I wanted it for self-defense in case anything went, like you were taught not to fight.
Yeah.
Avoid fighting at all costs. And I still think about that. And it's like, I try to get out. Like
karate is the art of self-defense.
That's all it is, you know? And it's like, I tried to do that martial art. And then like I was in college, I took Aikido. So that was all about using other people's energy against them. They go, you know, they swing at you and you can grab them and grab wrist and stuff.
Yep. And
it's like, I don't know, man. I don't like the discipline comes in. Like, what did I learn on Aikido? 6 weeks. All we did is learn how to fall. That's all they taught us how to do. So you learn how to fall and tumble. I think the kid, like millennials in general and kids, like they want to do more. And like, even I did, but that shit is ingrained in me to an extent. If I slip on a piece of ice, I'd probably jinx it myself. I'm gonna break my leg or something.
Please don't fall. Please don't fall on the way out of here.
No, but
like, there's ice, but don't fall.
When I fall, man, it's like I fall on the ground. It's like you fall a certain way, and it's just like that repetitious motion. It's like Mr. Miyagi shit here, man. It's like that shit is real, and it's like martial arts will help you. You know, so it's like I can't recommend it enough. I think like everybody should take some form of martial arts and arts in general, but martial arts was a big thing in business that helped guide me in discipline. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, crazy. I don't even know how the hell we got onto this like this.
I don't know where the segue was.
Yeah. I don't know, but good. But it was a good like rabbit hole that we went down.
That's my ADHD. So
you're right. Yeah. Our brains are wired like this same way that like, you know, it's just all of a sudden something sparks something and then we're
squirrel.
You know, half hour later, we're like, wait, we're doing a podcast?
Yeah, here we are.
You know, but yeah, man, like it's
those new projects you asked me about an hour ago. Literally, we're probably at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, wow. Okay. Well, let's maybe now segue to that to some of the projects. You know, you touched on them a little bit. Okay. You know, but yeah, tell me what you're working on, man.
Yeah, no worries. So, first project. So when all this happened, what do? I go back to what I know. I was using I have a couple rental properties, and I knew real estate, but I didn't have a team. So I created a company and went full time. This is the first company that I built. It's called Residential Imagineering. So the name is inspired by Disney, the Walt Disney Imagineers, because I always wanted to be an Imagineer. My professor at Penn State was one of the people that led the Epcot ball, and I learned a lot about Disney. And I just thought it was the coolest name ever. So I was worried, like, you know, Disney, if you're listening, That's a good thing. That's a great thing. So if you come after me with the trademark or whatever, I tried to look at it and I didn't think it was going to be an issue because residential, like Disney didn't get into like residential housing. Well, now they do. So it could be an issue, but if you know, I got bigger problems to worry about if Disney wants to do it. You know, I'll change the name, guys. But I love what Disney does.
Or they could partner with you.
Or they could partner. I'm not affiliated in any way. This is just my brand. So Residential Imagineering is all about traditional fix and flip homes and rental properties. It's a typical investor. But what I do, I believe in architecture, respect architecture. So I don't look at, like some investors buy for cash flow or just want a quick money. I look at everything. I look at the potential of the property. So I spend a lot of time evaluating it and looking. My company, like if you ever wanted to find it, it's imaginetheproperties.com. So I imagine the properties of what they can be. And it's all about improving the community and helping people. I love helping the neighbors. It's given a place for people to go. And then for every house that I buy or sell as part of Residential Imagineering, we give back $1,000 to a local charity. And I just started. So I just got this company. I got a couple properties in the works right now. I got one in Courtdale under contract, and I'm working on another property down in West Nanticoke that'll be up for sale in June. So if anybody's looking for a 2-bedroom, beautiful tiny home on the river, you hit Kurt Krasavage up and I'll try to take care of you. Sorry about the plug. So that's kind of what I'm doing on Residential Imagineering. So that's like right now that's been like kind of the primary focus because that's what I was most comfortable with. And I'm going to continue to do that. And the reason I can do this is because I have an incredible team. The gentlemen that, you know, I'm working with are just absolutely fantastic, man. And I think you need to surround yourself with people. As I bring that up, so this is the ADD shit in real time. You asked me who supported me back in the things. I think I forgot my girlfriend. So I need to make sure, cut this in there. Janelle supported me. Yeah. She was always by my side.
Shout out to Janelle.
Shout out to Janelle because she supported me through all of this. You know, it's a lot for her to go through, to sacrifice and watch me, you know, from literally nothing. She's been there. We've been together for like 12 years.
Okay.
Right?
So she's experienced this the whole story that you told.
She has seen my ups and downs my entire life. She's, you know, met me when I didn't have anything. I had it all, lost it. And she, you know, sometimes thinks I'm crazy, but she always believes in me. So I want to take the second to put this in there and thank her for everything she's ever done to support me and her family. So it's like, I think I forgot that by accident with everything going on. So
good.
Sorry, Janelle. Thank you though. Catch that one off, right?
Yeah.
So can't forget that. So that's one project. Residential Imagineering is one project. So the next project that I'm working on is also a real estate project. So this project is really special because it's my first partnership, right? Going in business by yourself is one thing. I needed a strong partner. And I always believe that with a partnership, any good partnership, you have to complement each other. You can't just, if we have both the same skills, it's not going to work and there's no value. My partner approached me 6 or 7 years with this idea. And I was so busy in the corporate world, it didn't work out. He was busy with his other businesses. The stars didn't align. So what we're doing now is we created a company, and this also is through with the help of his wife. It's called Restorative Roots. And what we're doing is we're going to make transitional living centers for recovering addicts and folks that have alcohol abuse. Okay. So I told you how I'm addicted to work. I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful that I'm addicted to work. It could have went the other way. And a lot of people do go the other way, and it's due to the trauma in their life, similar to me, their upbringing. And I'm fortunate that I got out alive. Some people just disregard these people and don't care. They're, you know, viewed lower in society as a whole. And I think that's wrong because over the last, you know, if you look in the trades as I'm getting here, I met multiple people that are struggling with addiction problems due to financial things, due to COVID, due to their family. And they're just like you and I, man. Like there's no difference. Like you got old people, young people, you can't tell the difference. And they're good people. They just made bad choices. And some people make the argument like, oh, they chose to be like that. They like, no, their life, you don't know what happened in their life. Maybe some did, maybe some didn't. You don't know what happened in their life.
You can't ever assume what's going on in somebody's life.
Exactly, man. You don't know what's going on in someone's life. So anyway, think about real estate right now. Like how difficult is it to get an apartment? Like everybody's bitching about it. It's like rents are through the roof. Now you're coming out of rehab. You have no job and you don't have money saved up. How in the hell are they getting apartments right now? They're not. They're going back to a worse situation, and it's just it's a problem.
Vicious cycle.
So what we're doing is we are actually creating properties to help these people. Our goal is to become the first licensed transitional living center, recovery home, sober house within Luzerne County. All right. And right now there's an underground like world of these that do not have like they have just broken furniture and they're like kind of a flop house, if you will. We're following all the procedures, making this legit, matching furniture. We're making it a luxury place that's affordable for these people to live and rebuild their life. We're going to give them opportunities, recovery coaches, resources, and we bought our first property to do this, which we are starting on next week, actually, to house up to 10 tenants. So it's basically 2 people per room. They're all going to have individual safes. They're all going to be certified, as a requirement to have Narcan. And we're going to go through and we're going to give them a place to live on a weekly basis. So think of like short-term college rentals, 2 people per room. And instead of like monthly, a monthly rent, they just live in, they're going to co-live. And, we take it from there. And our goal isn't to keep them there forever. We want them to move on and be successful and go to the next project.
Very cool, man.
So I'm really pumped about it, man. It's a different world for me. And the reason I'm doing this, my partner struggled with addiction himself. And he's somebody that you need on your show. He literally has rebuilt.
Who is he?
It's Joe Aiello.
Joe Aiello.
Oh,
yeah.
Joe Aiello.
I know Joe.
I have never met anybody in my life that is as smart as Joe and has gone through the shit that anybody, like my story, you think like I got trauma in my life and everybody's got it worse. Joey's story is absolutely incredible. And
yeah, I know Joe.
Bring him on. He is somebody that I think would resonate with a lot of people.
To be honest, I kind of like wondered, like I think I knew at some point. I mean, I was friends with him on Facebook. Maybe I still am. Maybe he's not on there anymore. I don't know. But I remember at some point, I don't know when it was, years ago, some point, like I looked at him. I'm like,
I talked to, yeah.
I'm like, man, I think there's something like something. Joe's unwell.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's fair. And I've talked to him about coming on the show.
No offense, Joe. I this is,
He's
again,
okay
years back. I don't know how far back this was, but like I remember seeing it and I'm like, man, I just hope he got some help.
I talked to Joey and I've met him on his worst. I've been mad at him throughout our whole lives. We've been friends for a long time. And I could say that, Joey, the reason this works, and I've talked to him about, hey, I'm going on, I wanted to bring this up, make sure it was cool. So he's cool. He's not ashamed of like what he went through. And that's why we're going to be successful is this takes the perfect partnership to do this. He can relate to people in a way that I never could because he literally rebuilt a business. He had hundreds of thousands of dollars, and because of his addiction, which is now a disability, it's considered a disability, which it is, he, was able to rebuild his life. And then he lost it. He lost it all, rebuilt it again. And he's there and he's doing incredible things. And I see the passion that he drives. He brought this idea to me. So like, this is still a somewhat new, like I said, we're trying to be the first to get licensed, like within the county. He brought this to me 6 years ago and they're still not, because like the people that, and I want to watch my words. Be careful with my words.
Yeah.
It takes a perfect storm to create this. You need the real estate profession, which I have. You need someone that knows the addiction side. And then his wife also is bringing a really unique skill set she has a master's degree with, people, and she's lived firsthand with somebody like that. So we're giving these folks, resources to rebuild their life. And we're really excited about it. And I'm sure there's going to be challenges. And I always relate it back to my grandmother's legacy. She was a foster parent in Swarsville, who brought like probably 200 kids in the 90s and 80s. And she had black kids, minorities, Hispanic kids. That was really frowned upon in Swarsville back then because everybody was worried about their property values. I expect the same challenges right now with drug addicts where, we're buying properties that some of the property we have now was sitting vacant with squatters in it and people just abusing the property to a point where they had to cut the electric and it's just sitting there rotting and nobody would do it. There's limited parking. We don't need parking. We're buying properties that would otherwise be useless.
Yeah, because the value, it's not even worth it.
It's not.
And they just become dilapidated pieces of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're taking those properties and we are going to rebuild them and give a purpose to that and fix people's lives.
Yeah, we need that in this area.
It's 100%, man. There's statistics of like it's actually crazy, like the statistics when you see this stuff. So it's like, it's really powerful. We're going to do a lot of good things for these people and they're going to do a lot of good people and it's going to be the ripple effect. It's going to keep going. And I'm really passionate about that. And I'm really excited about the partnership with Joey and his wife, Lonnie, to work through that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear he's doing well.
He is, man.
Because like I said, I don't know, without going on Facebook and looking him up, I don't know if he still has one or not.
He doesn't really go on Facebook much. He's too busy. He's working. Yeah. He's working too much.
Yeah. You got him working like a dog.
Yeah. Not me, man. He works. He's got his own business. And,
that's cool.
He's there.
Well, I'm glad he's doing well, and we'll extend the invite to him.
Absolutely, man. It's impressive.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool, man. I had no idea. Idea that it was him.
It's crazy.
So that was cool to find out right now.
Love it.
During the show, man.
That's it, man. Yeah. We're trying to help people. It's interesting. So it's like going back to like, what else am I working on, man? It's like, I just feel like I'm talking, but there's a lot of projects going on, right?
Yeah.
So the next project is my purpose in life. All right. So this project is my life.
This is it.
This is my life.
This is what everybody's been waiting for the last hour and a half for this, right? Right? This is it.
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, there's
this is
wait, there's more.
There's more.
Yeah.
No, this is really special to me. So my mom, again, going back to her stroke, right? So she's been impacted. The day all this happened, we said, you know what, we need to help other people. My mom has struggled because of her situation with social interaction. Her friends and family don't have the patience to deal with. We lost a lot of family members over the like crazy amount, man. We lost most of our family. Like when I have family dinner, I'll go with my girlfriend's family and then it's me and my mom. Like that's my family. Like I have a very limited family because they all passed away, unfortunately, in like the last 10 years. So it's like I have some cousins and things of that nature. I don't want to discount that, but my primary family, when I think of family, is like my girlfriend's family and like me and my mom.
Yep.
Right. So we want to give back and we want to help people. And it's not just her. There's a lot of people out there who have a disability and are unable to go anywhere. Where do you go? Like they don't want to go to a bar. They can't go to a bar. You know, they might not have the financial means to get there. So we wanted to build a center. So as of Friday, we found a building finally that is under contract, did the inspections today. And, it's got some issues. So I know that, if the seller's, looking at this, we're working through it, but hopefully the sale is going to go through and we are going to provide a world-class place for people. Anybody can join, right? Anybody that's struggling with social life and just wants a place to go to hang out and interact with people and maybe learn about this or get resources, we're going to have that hangout. And it's going to be local, it's going to be available, and it's going to be a very accommodating place. This is going to help my mother. It's going to give my mother purpose, and it's going to give me purpose as well. If I do nothing with my life outside of this, I'm 1,000% confident, and I want to create a legacy that lives far beyond what me and my mom have done. And I generate this back to like Candy's. Candy's Place is an amazing organization. We used to go on those
by the way,
rainbow walks.
I'm on the board there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, then you can
as of the last couple of years.
You can help me.
But
so they're inspirational for what we're doing, and I'd love to counteract and kind of piggyback off of that. In no way are we competing with that organization whatsoever. I want to learn from that and make a center. In addition to that, this particular center has a lot of office space. We're trying to generate for small business people. So I have 9 offices. The intent or the goal, given the zoning and stuff, is to create micro leasing. So I can build a place where startup people don't have a lot of money to get an office.
Like a little incubator.
Exactly. What if I can create you a common reception area and rent out space for like $200 or $300 a month, and you could start your business and build your contacts there. I create a mini mall, and you're kicking off your business to grow. And in addition to that, you're also then able to help the people and local artists inside of this center, and the people in the center can come and help your business. So that's a win, man. Like that's what I'm really focused on right now. So it brings everything I've ever wanted in my life is real estate, and it puts a purpose behind my, like I would never do this. I shouldn't say I would never do this, but I don't know if I would have ever done this because of the inspiration. And we're trying to put people, not everybody has a Kurt, right? Not everybody has a Kurt that can come up and cook them food and do all these types of things every week and pick them up and take them to therapy.
Did you say your mom's name, by the way?
My mom is Jackie. Jacqueline.
Jackie. Hello, Jacqueline.
Shout out, Mom. Love you.
Got to shout out the moms.
Yeah, my mom has been my life, man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That is my passion and everything that I'm doing. So out of all the projects I work on, man, this is very
the granddaddy of them all.
This is it. This is it. It will not fail on this mission. It's just not going to happen, and we're going to do some really amazing things. So
I know you will.
I'm pumped about it, man. I'm
pumped for you.
Super fucking amped about this.
Yeah, it's like I want to get involved, and this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah.
I feel like there'll be future collaborations between us. In the future, man. I'm sure.
It's definitely.
But yeah, man, it's great to really see, people like you doing the things that you're doing in this area because it's so important, and there's a lot of good things happening in the area, and there's not enough light on people like you, and I'm just grateful to be able to have this platform to be able to shine the light on you, man, because
Bill, outside of my business, outside of my business stuff. Dude, that's where I see us. We can partner up. I've created a page. I was gonna wear a hat today. It's the amazing people of NEPA.
I'm familiar.
I saw you join. I saw you join.
Listen, I'm ashamed to say, I'm embarrassed that I didn't join until today because I swore I was part of it because I've known about this for so long, and I don't know how I was not a member. I think for the longest time I thought it was a Facebook a page. It's actually a group.
Yep.
Right. I think for the longest time I thought it was like a page. And when I'm searching, then I would see a group, but I'm like, I don't know if I thought I already like was following a page, and for the longest time now, I've been just like searching for that page, but then I would find the group, and I'm like, I don't know if I can. Well, obviously anyone can just join it,
Right.
But yeah, I thought there was a page.
It's okay.
So I just joined today.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you joined. It's,
Yeah.
So this has been an idea, right? I put this thing together when COVID hit. I was so sick of seeing it. So I stopped watching the news, and it's actually a downside because I don't stay as much into social interactions.
I stopped watching the news too.
It's terrible. It's just deaths and car accidents and people killing. That shit's bad for you. I believe in surrounding yourself with positive energy, and I wanted to create an area to highlight, like you said, all the good people. So similar to what you're doing, but way different.
Yeah.
I have not created content, right? Like I've taken it to a point where I've treated it as my personal Pinterest, and I just share articles, whether it's Times Lead or Citizens Voice or somebody, paying it forward or whatever. I just try to share as many stories as I possibly can, so that if you're having a bad day, you could go on this page and you can just, look at the good shit that's happening and say, wow, that's inspirational. I should be like that guy and I could donate. Like, it's been so cool, man. Like, one story like that's really wild to me is I went to not America's Got Talent, the Luzerne County and Beyond's Got Talent, which one of my buddies won second place, Jimmy Stranger, shout out. The one girl that was on there, she did not get in, she didn't get I didn't think she got the recognition she deserved. So I was like, I would love to shout this girl out. Like, this is amazing. So I shout her out on the page and just you did amazing, and people deserve to do this. Her mom hits me up and actually gave me the video, and I got to reshare that on the page. And then she personally was able to hear my feedback and the people following the page of how that was. To me, that was wow, this is so powerful. Social media has its pluses and minuses. That's powerful. How else would I have ever got my voice from the audience to her to tell her yo, you did it? And that's no disrespect to the judges. There's a lot of talent there. I just was blown away personally by her performance, and I thought it was really powerful. So that's what I want to highlight, man, on the amazing people of NEPA. I want to take it to the next level. I want to see more people sharing. I also want to get into content creation, or maybe a variation like a podcast or something of that nature one day, man. I think there's a lot there, but I struggle with, I need more people to partner with on this because of my limited time and all the projects that I'm working on. That's my struggle right now.
I think I know a guy.
Well, you may be the guy. Jimmy might be something.
We might be the guys.
I need the help, and I would love to talk more about it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
It's been kind of a secondary thought, and I know the potential that's there to kind of highlight. What blew my mind, man, is when I went to, I was talking about how I donated $1,000 to charities. I went to Parenting Autism United. My friend Lindsay is running that. And when I walked in there, holy shit, did it blow me mind. I'm everybody needs this experience to understand what they are doing there. Because you see, if you look, I want to donate to a nonprofit. Maybe you go to a Discover of NEP or another site, and you get a list of all the places. You might get a paragraph. That doesn't, the real world, man, of seeing this and hearing about what people are doing, it just makes you this is the best way I could spend my money. For me, when I talk about financial freedom, my goal in my entire life is to make enough money to pay my bills. Yes, I like nice shit, right? I want a nice car. Yeah. Actually, I'm driving a 2009 370Z. So I'm doing all these projects.
Since then.
It's since then. Yeah. It's like an $8,000 car now. I've been still driving that. My house was relatively modest, and I want to have the financial freedom. I want to have enough money to come in, pay my bills, give me some nice things, and I want to dedicate my life to improving the community and helping people and just doing future projects. That's all that really matters to me. And it wasn't I'm on that path now. I would have never been on that path had all this shit not happened to me in the corporate. Had I not created, I'm not going to say this, I'm not the victim. I did wrong, right? It was a mistake. And if I didn't screw up, I just feel the world pushed. This is meant to be. Man.
Yeah, you were meant to make the mistake that you made that night at that retreat or wherever the hell it was. You were meant to make that mistake because you're sitting here today because of it.
Absolutely. It's amazing, man. It really is it's crazy how the world works.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the next chapter. And it's there's just so much energy and potential, man. I get fired up right now. I'm ready to go kill it.
Right.
I want to go start another let's go do it.
Yeah. We got another room in here. We can start something up in here. Who knows?
I love it, man.
No, man, it's cool. I love it. I love to see it. I love hearing about this stuff, and it's got my mind turning a million miles an hour now. And
it's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'd love to get involved in some of the stuff you're doing and see how we can help each other, because I think there's a lot of people in this area that I think want to do similar things to what you and I are doing, and but there's also a lot of people that just are a lot of talk. you know? And again, this isn't me throwing shade at any one person in particular or anything. It's, you know, I'm not about that. You know, I'm a positive person. I'm not trying to bash anybody, but like there's a lot of people with great ideas, but not a lot of people want to execute on them.
Yep.
You know? And, you know, I'm just really big on actually executing on things and getting shit done. I take great pride in that, man. Like I take great pride in that. Like if I say something on this show, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Like I think
state your goals out loud, man. You have to. It's embarrassing if you fail.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's like I won't even say it out loud if I don't intend to do it.
Yes.
Because I hold myself accountable.
Me too.
Like literally. I mean, you know, again, but it's the part of like stating your goals. But like, you know, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Now, I'm sure there's probably something somebody's watching. Like, he didn't do what he said. Well, maybe I'm still working on it, all right? Maybe it's still, you know, maybe I'm still working on behind the scenes. And there are a few things I'm working on behind the scenes that I'm just not ready to, like, talk about yet. So, like, I am working on things. And, you know, when I'm ready to reveal some new things, new expansions, you know, like, I will, you know? But yeah, like I said, it's great to see somebody, like, really executing on something. Because, like I said, there's a lot. I'm sure there's probably a million other people who've had ideas like you have, but they don't do it.
Right.
People don't do it.
It's scary, man. I'm terrified of like half of the shit that I'm doing. It's like,
yeah.
When I came out, you know, man, like with the real estate stuff, it's like, oh, when I closed on the house, it's like, hey, do you have a team in place? I'm like, no. Like, do you know how, oh, you're handy though. I'm like, yeah, kind of. Like,
yeah.
How the hell are you going to do this? I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Figure it out.
I will figure it out. You have to, there's a balance between like, so as an engineer, you think about everything, you try to plan for everything that can possibly go wrong. That shit will get you caught up in business. I've worked for leaders that are the opposite, where it's like, let's just do it, throw it out, and if it breaks, we'll fix it and go for it. And you have to find that fine balance.
There is a fine balance.
It's a fine balance to get in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
You can't be afraid. Like, just take the shot.
Yeah.
Like even me leaving the industry, the first time when I left when I left engineering to go to sales, I felt like that's the first jump. This is the second jump. And who talks about this? Family Feud. What's his? Steve Harvey.
Yeah,
he talks about jumping.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's what it is. It's jumping. It's crazy, man. And you just like, okay, it doesn't work out. I go back to the corporate world, man. It's like, thankfully,
you always do something else.
You have to sacrifice. I think that's another thing we haven't really talked about is like, you do need to make sacrifices, and there's a balance there of living your life, YOLO, and sacrificing. I couldn't do any of this shit if I didn't live the way that I did for like 10 years for this moment. I didn't have where I wanted to be comfort level. So it's like, it gets me there, but I had to give up a lot. And I think a lot of people aren't willing. If you have to be willing to give up everything to have everything. And if you're not if you're only working 40 hours a week, you're always going to work 40 hours a week. And you have to take it, man. And I literally, Bill, like, I don't feel a difference between a weekend and a weekday now. It's just the same. Like it's weird because when a holiday hits, I'm just like, this is like
just another day.
It's just another day. It's like, I'm always with my mom. So it's not like I don't have siblings and stuff. I don't feel any different on the weekends and stuff. And I'm like, wow, did I like hit this is the goal of how you're supposed to feel. I don't feel like I'm working, and I'm surrounded by people going through a lot of bad shit in their life, like workers and things like that. And I've been able to positively influence them. And I'm like, that is my purpose, man. I want to like share this inspiration, as painful as this shit is for me to go through. That's my purpose on this earth, man. Helping people and improving the community. And that's what I hope to continue to do.
Boom.
That's it,
man. And we're going to save the cherries for a part 2 episode.
Cool.
What do you think about that?
I would love to be back, man. If I can, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna keep some people in suspense, I think.
Yep, that's gonna be a fun one.
And then maybe we'll pop this then too.
I like that.
What do you think?
That'd be amazing.
All right. Yeah. So, all right, man. How can our listeners learn about you online? I know there's a lot of things going on, but what's the best way for somebody just to connect with you?
I would say just go on LinkedIn, right, and find me, Kurt Krasavage. Just Kurt Krasavage. LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me, or go to imaginetheproperties.com. You could send me a message there, and that's going to be the easiest way to find me. If you want to, send me an email, Kurt, Kurt, at imaginetheproperties.com, or you want to call me, that's fine. I don't know if I want the phone numbers out from everybody, but
right. They'll find John. They'll find a way to get to you.
They'll find me.
They'll find a way to get to you.
Absolutely.
Or they'll DM me, and maybe I'll just like start giving out your phone number. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that.
I love it, man. Hey, one thing I want to mention though, so on the shirt, people are probably wondering I don't know if you could see it all.
Yeah. Turn this wide camera right here.
Maybe here. Right?
Yep. There you go.
All right. So
this
shirt is, going to be the front of my business. Like, I'm still like in startup mode. Like, we don't have real things right now, right?
Yeah.
Like this
is, all you have is a shirt. You just got
just the printed front. It's going to be different font.
Nice V-neck.
Yeah. Shout out to Shed Shirts for doing this last minute for me. I appreciate them. I thought it was really critical.
Did you have this made just for the show?
Yes.
Did you?
But this is like the front of the design for like
prototype.
what I'm going to be doing.
All right. Love it.
So where this came from, again, my former company, all my success I attribute to the if I didn't do the corporate life and go through the shit, I wouldn't be able to manage the people or manage all these projects or do any of this. And I wouldn't have learned the generosity and the skills and being able to work internationally and everything else. This motto here, so there's a book I learned about ideal team players. I think the author is Patrick Lencioni. I could be pronouncing that wrong and maybe butchering the last name. It's called The Ideal Team Player. This particular book talks about, they went around and did research about what is the ideal team player on like football teams, construction teams, and what they found are 3 characteristics: smart, hungry, and humble. I added resilient over my experience. So smart, hungry, and humble. Smart is not just like, oh, you're intelligent. It's about people smart. It's about knowing how to talk to people, knowing what people want to hear, and being able to bring value to them, working the political sectors and things of that nature, in addition to being intelligent about whatever you're doing. The hunger part, you can't teach. After all the years I've had, you don't teach hunger. And that's okay. When I talk to people and interview people to work for me, if you don't have the hunger, that's okay. I want to know about it so I understand where you fit into the organization.
Yeah, because there's a place for everybody.
We need everything to go around the world. We need people that, not everybody's like, you or I or, whatever. And I'm saying, like, I wish I wasn't like this some days. Like, I wish I wasn't.
Yeah,
I wish
it's a blessing and a curse.
There's days I wish I could just go to my work and then just kind of drift
not
off
have to worry
and
about
chill.
anything, right?
And we need people that do that in different roles. I don't want to put someone in a leader position who I know is only going to want to work for a couple of years and they're moving to the beach down in Florida. Like, I'll put them in a job to help them out, and they could probably do a really good job. Every time I meet somebody, we go through an IDP, and I want to know what their goals are, personal and professional, and I align with that. And basically, we put a path together on how am I going to get you there? How can I help you with your life? And if I can't, then you might not be the best fit for me. So that's all about the hunger part, and then the humble piece. This is big for me, man. This is very hard. Like, this whole podcast has been very difficult for me. Like, I was very uncomfortable because I don't like talking about myself and like all the stuff I did, because it's like, hey, I did this or that. And it's like when you first asked me to I started putting stuff together, I was like, oh, I better actually tell him what I did. So he knows what this got. Like, none of the stuff was about what I did. And I have a hard time sharing accolades and my successes and things of that nature. Humble is very important. There's so many people that I have interviewed and I want to hire them, and they just don't have, they don't have humility. They're just, and Gary Vee's big on this. They just don't have that humility. And, they come in, why should I hire you? I'm the best. I'm the best. Those people are good in single roles. If they're just a salesperson for their region, they might be amazing at that. They will blow. So bad word. They will suck. Bad word. They are not good. They will not be good managers, and they are not good team players. And, you can work through all of these. I don't believe you can teach hunger to a person after going through it. The other two, there are ways to move people and manage that. And I used to do that with people. We'd look at what traits do they have, what's missing. And then every month I'd go through, how do we get them, in this category to do these different types of things. So you can improve on certain things. And it maybe sometimes it's just a passion that's not right. And then the last part of what I have on here is resilient. All right. And then resiliency, as you've seen, I need people that got punched in the face. If your life is all, grand and you've never had a problem, and I ask people, what's your adversity? Just tell me about adversity that you've overcome. If you have nothing, call me when you do, and it's I need you to get punched in the face so I could see how you react to the world and life. And, what are you going to do in that situation? It tells a lot about a person. And I love people that have been through shit and got crushed, and their life is I don't want their life to be like mine, but most people do have this or will have it in their life. And it's all about how you react to the situation. So for me, I took this fundamentals of the smart, hungry, humble, and resilient people, and that is the core to every single person that I hire on my team. And this is a method. It's not special to me. It's in the book. Southwest does this. If you've ever been on a Southwest flight, everybody's funny. That is part of their smart, hungry, humble. You have to have humor as one of the characteristics to get hired. So I encourage any business, set a culture of criteria and do not negotiate. There's so many people that I met over the years that didn't have the hunger, or they were missing one. I wouldn't hire them just because of that. And it sucks, man, because you love these people. You think they could be good, but they don't have that.
Yeah, they're missing that one little piece.
It will bring the team down. Now, if you inherit a team that for people that already have that, that's what you can try to help them get there. And if you can't, there's the thing. It's what's the phrase is, coach. It's change the person or change the person. That's the saying. Change the person or change the person, because you're either changing them and their behavior or you're getting new people and changing the actual person.
Right.
So, from a management standpoint, I just encourage everybody, if anybody asks you or what you're achieving, smart, hungry, humble, and resilient, those are the 4 things I would always look for in a person. If you have them, I don't give a shit what you know. I could teach you the skills and put you around smart people. It's having those fundamentals is what's going to make you different.
You're a badass dude.
A
savage. Kurt Savage.
Kurt Savage, man. Kurt Krasavage.
Yeah.
The Kras just making it hard. Kurt Savage is a lot easier. So.
Yeah, like I said,
Savage.
I'm not changing. Your name is staying Kurt Savage in my phone.
Beautiful. Keep
That's it.
I like it.
And we're saving Cherry Hat for part 2.
Cool.
So, dude, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing. There was a lot of stuff, man.
I know, man. I'm sorry I went long. I mean, if you invited me for 2, I didn't screw up too bad, I guess. So I'm over here like drinking like I need like 5 more waters for the next one. Maybe the booze will help on the next one.
Yeah. We'll start
there.
the next one off with that.
Yep.
All right. Kurt Krasavage on the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door Studio. Thank you so
much. Thanks so much, Bill.
If you want to see more On the Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/OnTheStacks podcast or search the hashtag OnTheStacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.